Hello and welcome to the Pride of Detroit PODcast, prideofdetroit.com, Pride of Detroit on Twitter, Pride of Detroit on Facebook. You know where to find us, and we're back once again because this one's a doozy. This one's a big one. We're going to be talking about the draft, like something we've never done before on this show. It's breaking new ground. If you want to hear how we feel about all 3 days in each position, we have, I believe, at this point, 4 hours probably the extras in it, probably close to about 5 hours of podcasts in the past, not to mention ungodly amounts of mailbags and things of that nature to get you lined up for it. So please go back through the archives. You will hear all of our picks for days 1 through 3 of guys we like, but we're going to try to do a bird's eye overview and talk about not just our takes, but also what we know the Lions will do because we're trying to get as much insight and glean as much from what, Kremlinology with Brad Holmes up to start. I am Chris Perfett, the adequate host, at Chris Perfett on X and at Perfett on Blue Sky, where I find myself much more active these days, which is to say I wasn't terribly active to begin with in a lot of social media, but more active over there. Jeremy Reisman, the fearless leader at Detroit Online. Hi, buddy.
What's
Happy
going
birthday.
on? Thank you. I'm 25.
Sure.
Draft eligible. Still draft eligible. I'm a super 10 more of those senior.
What round do you think you're in?
Good like top 300s.
Okay. I'd probably go top 1,000.
That's probably closer.
Ryan Matthews. At Ryan_POD. Ryan Matthews is a top 10 for us.
Aww.
That's not true. I'm completely off everybody's draft boards. They checked my medicals at the combine. I'm
the
out.
injury history.
I tried to hide it, but
No. Injury history just means Brad Holmes got the laser red eyes. Our
That's
open
true. That's
box
true.
special.
he saw my GPS.
He knew. So this is the draft preview. Are we all excited for the draft? I know, Jeremy, we've talked before. It's the draft night's fun. Everything else leading up to it is just, it's a slog.
It is. And I know we're going to talk about it later, but Brad Holmes became my spirit animal when he talked about the lead up into the draft, and he doesn't understand all of the hubbub about trying to predict what's going to happen in the draft. Just sit there and enjoy it. That's what I'm ready to do.
We're be right.
That said,
right now.
for the next hour, we're going to do exactly
exactly that. Yes, yeah. You can't stop us. Yeah. The prophet is saying, please don't look at the sheepskins. We're looking at the sheepskins.
That's right.
Oh. Let's start with Brad Holmes, the Lions general manager. We'll spend a little bit of time on his comments before we hear about what we want to talk about, what we think about the night. But I think looking through the lens of this is always important. We could just go out there and be a weird guy with a microphone and talk about what the Lions need to do. I'd rather focus this 15 minutes we got on what the Lions might do. And sometimes that comes from the mouth of Brad Holmes himself. So, Jeremy, we'll start it right off. Right up the top, it's always need versus BPA. You know, the age-old arguments and everything else. Brad Holmes, I'm not going to call him a best player available guy, but he has reiterated that the Lions will not chase need. And I guess the question is, not just do you believe him, not just fair or foul on that, but also, as I look at this Lions roster as it is constructed right now, I'm still poking my head at what exactly is the quote-unquote need we would be focused on.
Yeah, I mean, I would call him a best player available guy. He really wants people to believe that he is. And it's hard to argue based on past results, but it's also this is really the first draft where, to me, there is not like you have to come out with an immediate contributor at this position or you're screwed. Because the first 4 years they have had needs everywhere, pretty much everywhere. And then last year, cornerback was obviously a big need and they filled it. Holmes on draft night was like, that was just kind of a coincidence. Like, we had all these guys with, we didn't have that many guys with higher ratings than was available when we got to the early 20s, but because so many offensive players went in the top half of that 2024 draft, Terrion was just sitting there. We're like, why don't we go get one of these guys that we had no belief we even had a shot at? And so I think you look at this draft, and listen, I'm with everybody. I think defensive line is a long-term need. I think when you talk about need in the draft, and maybe Brad Holmes would come closer to agreeing to this, it's more about long-term need than it is short-term need. Because one, like Brad Holmes kind of said on Thursday, needs change year to year. A guy gets injured and suddenly, oh man, I wish we would have drafted a good center. Frank Ragnow got injured. But the other reason being that when you talk about need, when you talk about short-term need, I lost my point. I'm sorry. I tried to talk it out.
I think you're fine, because I know one of the other questions he was talking about, Ryan, was about the defensive line room. And I know we'll talk a little bit more on some of the stuff, but I know there was one quote I kept going to, because a lot of, I think if you pull Lions fans right now, it would either be offensive line, and that's absolutely the long-term logic, but also a lot of people would say you need a pass rusher. And I know he had a quote that he questioned this. He was saying, is this just because Aiden Hutchinson got hurt? Is that why this is such a big thing? And I think there is some truth to that, in that we kind of forgot how. I can see the logic on why people focus on pass rush, but I can also see the logic in that. Because, yes, Aiden Hutchinson got hurt. We were immediately deprived of the sacks. But I think the narrative going into that year, before Aiden Hutchinson got hurt, but also before he had all the sacks he had, was the Lions are just struggling to finish the pass rush. They're struggling to get the sacks. They're struggling to get the takedowns. It's the 3rd and 20s. It's the inability to bring pressure sometimes. It's all of those things I think have colored the years of the Dan Campbell teams. And I think, just it's at this point, it doesn't, for some fans, it doesn't matter if you have Aiden Hutchinson. It's just more pass rush. It has to solve it.
Yeah, and I get it, because those are explosive plays, and those are the plays that land on highlight reels, and those are the plays that land in box scores. But we all knew that like a Dan Campbell defense was going to be predicated on stopping the run and then getting after the passer. So I think there's a couple things with that. I think one, the outside perception of the Lions offseason last year was the Lions didn't do enough to stock the fridge opposite of Aiden Hutchinson. Like, a lot of people weren't satisfied with Marcus Davenport, and I mean they were right, right? Like in a roundabout way. But I think that has only amplified and gotten louder, right? With the Myles Garrett and the Max Crosby stuff, and now we're entering draft season, so it feels like this is the last stop on the train, and it's either you do it here or the Lions didn't do anything to address that need. I thought one of the more interesting conversations, or one of the things that Holmes talked about, was Zadarius Smith, and not saying that the door is necessarily shut on that happening, but it's definitely in Zadarius and his agent's court. Like, right. It's up to them whether or not they want a reunion. I guess that kind of remains to be seen, and I'm not saying that the Lions would get more desperate should they not get a guy who they think can either at least compete to be in the rotation, or isn't like a developmental guy like later in the draft. I don't think that would necessarily make them a more desperate team to like, oh, like we didn't get anybody, like now we're going to like re-pursue Zadarius Smith. I think the Lions are like pretty comfortable with where they're at and how the board falls, and I believe him. I tend to believe him that he's not going to chase need. However, yeah. I do think that there is a point at which positional value and need kind of converge in a way where it's like, okay, like this, it makes sense to take a guy here, or it makes sense to trade up a few picks. And we've seen that from Brad Holmes, right? Like, he's not going to be afraid to move up, just like Terry and Arnold. If one of these guys slips, if more quarterbacks go, if more wide receiver, you know what I mean? Like, if extra guys end up in there, if there's like 2 running backs that get taken ahead of pick 28, sure, like something's going to shove a defensive lineman down, and I would not be shocked in the slightest if Brad Holmes moves up for that guy.
Yeah, and Jeremy, I would say too, like, part of that is also like, it's not just Aiden Hutchinson this time around too. It's, you've got Lee McNeil, who's also, what's his injury situation going to be like? He's certainly not going to start the year. So they've got multiple starters, and it kind of pushes that up in quote, I would say short-term need, but right. To Ryan's point, it could very well also be best player available.
And it has to be, because if he's not going to fill short-term need with a rookie. And that was the other point that I skipped over in my brain, is like filling a hole with a rookie is not solving that problem for that year. It's
No.
just not, especially when you're picking
No, it's
28th
not.
overall. If you are sitting here saying the Lions aren't going to win the Super Bowl this year unless they draft an edge rusher, unless they draft a guy that can get to a passer, go ahead and check past drafts and see how many elite pass rushers are drafted 28 or later. It doesn't happen all that often. It happens, and if Brad Holmes, if someone's going to find him, maybe it's Brad Holmes. But like, hey, you know who was taken 27th last year? Darius Robinson, a guy that a lot of Lions fans wanted. How many sacks did he have last year? Anyone know?
Well, he was injured for quite a bit of the year.
But that's kind of the point too. Is like, if you think this team is only going to get over the hump because they draft a specific position in year one, and that guy in year one is going to push you guys over the top, it's not that's not a success to win.
It's the
It's not
same
a formula.
argument as like, don't push all your chips in for Myles Garrett because you're a Myles
Right.
Garrett injury away from being exactly where you were before. But I think this also speaks to like the DeMarcus Walker news. You know what I mean? Like the Lions
Sure.
are interested in DeMarcus Walker.
Sure.
Like they're interested in another veteran to bring in. It's not like
Yep.
they're not trying to improve the position, but I don't think that that'll necessarily force his hand to go defensive line. But if
Right.
the value's there,
that's the thing.
obviously, duh, right?
The way, and that's the thing. Like, you look at this year's draft class, it just happens to be really deep on defensive tackle and defensive lineman, and the Lions could use that long term too. Because again, who's there long term right now at either spot? There's, you have Ali McNeil signed for a while. Who do you have on the edge that's signed for a while? Anybody? Bueller?
Presumably,
Presuming Aiden Hutchinson.
Right. And that's it. And so the long term need is there. And so, to me, that's more important than short term need in the way you address the draft. I imagine Brad Holmes is the same way, even though he might not admit it, because he's. I think that maybe the more interesting conversation with need is like, okay, what's too much at a position? Instead of like, hey, we need this position, what is we already have too many of these guys? Because we talked about this in midweek mailbag. Like, do the Lions have too many cornerbacks? They just drafted 2, and they just signed one to a 3-year deal. If Will Johnson falls to them at 28, do the Lions have too little of a need to make that play?
not
and that's
according
something.
to Dane Brugler, Maxwell Harrison,
Right. But like, they're not going to draft a running back, right? They're not going to draft a
Right.
quarterback in the first round. Like, I think the other way, the conversation that Brad Holmes hasn't really addressed, and I think one of the reporters was actually trying to ask it, and he didn't convey the message that he wanted to, Brad. But like, what are you going to do when a really good player is there, but you don't need him long term, even long term? Because obviously, if there's a position you're great for 2025, but you're not for 2026, that's on the table. Linebacker, I think, is one of those positions. But maybe even throw tight end on that, like quarterback, running back, tight end, corner. Would you really draft one if an elite guy was there at 28?
I think part of this too is also, we talked about like short-term need, long-term need. I think this is also too, it's just when you talk about what a rookie's going to do in their first year too, I think Lions fans are used to the top of the draft giving you impact players, like immediate impact players, which has worked for the Lions. They've had plenty of guys who have tremendous rookie seasons, but you're not picking up there anymore. You're picking at 28. You're picking near the bottom of the order. And B, I'm sorry, but this year is not that year for immediate impact players and a lot of these positions, and certainly where the Lions are drafting. Like, it is indictment is too strong of a word, but I think it's a sign that we are going into this draft, and for the first time in a long time, everyone has their own pick. Right? Like, the Bears haven't flip-flopped with the Panthers. The Lions don't have Rams picks. The Eagles haven't traded with the Seahawks or the Vikings. We're going to go, unless something happens here between now, Friday, the 18th, and Thursday night, we're going to be going into the Titans on the clock with everyone holding their own pick. And I think that's a sign that there's no one that's really moving the needle tremendously. That's not to say these talents are bad, but I think it's not a draft that has really gotten the hackles up. But I don't think I would discount the Lions moving up or down the draft board, and I know Brad Holmes spoke to that as well, Ryan.
Yeah, I mean, he basically said, I mean, it was along the lines of what again?
I mean, he was asked a billion things, right? Like he was
Yeah. I was trying to
Yeah.
focus in on one thing.
I mean, one thing he said, and it was a layup of a question for him, not to insult the person who asked it, but it was like, hey, if you're on the clock and there are a bunch of players kind of at the same level, would you? And you could guarantee where you trade down to, you'd get one of those players. Would you trade down? And I mean, of course, the answer is yes. Like, yeah, of course, yeah. I think his answer was yeah. If we get good value of it, yeah, yes, of course.
Like if we live in a world of guarantees, sure, right?
Right. If you can tell me I trade down and I get one of the guys that are on the exact same level that are on and some extra draft, there's not a single general manager who's going to say no. But then I think a lot of people were asking him about trade ups because he's had through his history. I think it's 8 trade ups and 4 trade downs. It might be 9 trade ups and 4 trade downs. 4 of his trade ups came last year, and so I think a lot of people are wondering. Is that a growing tendency? Is that a symptom of having a good roster where it's like, okay, I don't need these 5th, 6th, and 7th round picks because those guys aren't even going to make the roster at this point. Maybe I package those up, move up, and just get guys that I'm really comfortable with, that I know are going to make the team, that I know can have a better chance of being part of our core going forward. And Brad, so the quote that stuck out to me that I think kind of corroborates that line of thinking, he says, quote, obviously, the more depth that you build and when your roster's harder to make, sometimes it does say, look, maybe stay patient and just see, or maybe go up and just get the guy that you really want and you don't use those other draft picks.
Well, I think we talk about Brad being so transparent. He's being transparent that he'll do either thing, right? Like he wants to send that message that like, hey, maybe not. Because counterpoint, Jameson Williams in 2022. This
Right.
team wasn't at a place where it was like, oh, we can afford to trade up and move out from other mid-round picks that, at that point we had one Brad Holmes draft to kind of grade things on. And that's the other thing is like the immediate need thing is you see so many of these players like, you see what happens with Levi Onwuzurike eventually. You see what happens with Derek Barnes eventually. You see what happens with JMO eventually. And there's just so many players, Kirby Joseph, like these guys who like maybe not in their first year was it all, smooth sailing, but like second year, third year, like these pay dividends down down the way. So like I don't know. The trade up and trade down stuff, I do think the one thing I do know for sure about Brad Holmes, and I'm getting ahead of myself.
Yeah, the one thing you think hold on.
Ooh.
But I think it relates to the trade talk is that he has his first round grades on guys. Mm-hmm. And I think if those guys aren't in the first round anymore, by the time pick 28 hits, he'll trade back.
So he would trade back.
But I will say that if one of those guys is within trading range that he feels comfortable for, I think he'll absolutely move up.
Sure.
So I think both things are on the table, and I think
that's what I was going to say. It's hard to predict from here.
He wants to trade. He wants to trade in the first round. He'll do it.
Right. And that's the thing. And he was asked to, like, he's like, well, you can't compare each trade up similarly because with the JMO trade up, they were like, oh, we prepared for weeks. Like we knew that was our guy. We knew we wanted to get him if he fell towards a certain spot. With Terrion, it was like, we never even thought he was going to be there. Like we didn't even consider him going to be there. So with the way the board fell, suddenly we kind of like kicked into, hey, why don't we consider trading up mode? That's kind of where I think they're at right now. Like, I don't think they're in the let's get up into the 13 mode. We have one guy in mind.
No.
But I think that, let's say they have 16 guys with a first round grade and they're at 23. We're at 23 and one of those guys is left. That's when I think you might see a trade up.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely going to be opportunistic, I would say. If anything, I could probably see them. I don't know. I feel like a trade up is even more likely in day 2 right now, just as I kind of get to know a little bit more about the guys on day 2 that we're projecting onto day 2. Not saying the first round's a bust, but I think there's not a lot of sunlight between day 2 and day 1 when it comes to the top 100 players in this draft. Like we're gonna have our elites, but like bottom round 1 and like middle day 2. We've talked about the gaps the Lions have between when they pick Jeremy. It's going to be hard to watch a lot of the names fly off the wall, I think.
Yeah, I mean,
So it's something that the Lions, but I mean, this is always the Lions do. They just stay active, moving around the board.
right. The biggest gap there is between the fourth and the sixth round because they don't have a fifth round pick, so it's 130 to 196. Are they going to sit on their hands for 66 picks? We'll see. And obviously that might depend on what they do in the first round. Like maybe if they do a trade back, they don't have that big of a gap. Maybe if they do a trade up, it's an even bigger gap, and they just get out after the fourth round. Like, you know what?
Yeah.
We got our guys. We're good.
Hey, I'm more than happy to skip day 3 at this point. I mean, I think that's also Ryan too, especially when it comes down to it. Like we talk about how many guys, and you know, I think we'll touch us on this again in a few minutes. But at some point too, you can't like you've got enough guys on the roster. We've already talked. There's several position groups where it's like you almost have too many guys. Where it's a question: do you even want to add guys to that position group at all? And like, look, you've spent a lot of draft picks. You've got a lot out of some of the day 3 guys you drafted in the past, but at the same time, less might just be more at this point where the draft is concerned. If the Lions walk away with this only picking like, I'd say 5 guys, I would not be surprised by that. 4 guys, maybe a little shocked, but completely not off the table.
So burgers and peanuts, 5 guys are on the table.
I haven't had that in ages, man. No, I haven't had that in ages.
Here's the thing, though, is that those late picks they have, they have, is it 3? Is it 6 and 2 7s?
That's right. Yeah.
Yeah.
Giovanni Manu, Sione Vaki. I think Brad Holmes, that big gap that exists there.
Yeah.
I mean, 6th round picks, 7th round picks. I know he had to throw in, a 2025 third when he had to move up from Manu, but like,
right.
It's like you're going to get to a point where he's going to get ants in his pants, and he's going to want to move up and grab a guy, whether it's a developmental guy or it's a guy that they think can immediately come in. Because in the second segment, I think part of the discussion is like, look at the depth chart, right? Not a lot of clear openings for starter positions, but right. I think that there is room to raise the floor at some positions with draft picks, depending on where they are, right?
Sure.
And I think that lends itself to the argument of, I think those like 6th, 7th round picks, maybe even a pick in 2026. Like, I don't know, Brad Holmes could move those things to move up, and he could move from 28 back because he can add other draft picks. And it's very much like the Jahmyr Gibbs situation in 2023, right? Like, unafraid to take Jahmyr Gibbs at 6. But I'll also trade back and get some additional draft capital because, like, I'm not a madman.
Right.
Yeah.
I just like
we all are.
I think I think I agree with your assessment that he tends to get a little ants in the pants sometimes, and that 66 pick void. I think if I were to do one thing, I think I know they're probably going to make a pick in there. Like, I know we were supposed to do that at the end of the second segment, but like. And it's not my favorite quality of Brad Holmes, but like he openly talks about it all the time where he just like, I woke up Saturday morning and I'm like, we got to have this guy. And I'm like, I mean, okay, but like, I'm not sure I love that level of like analysis. It's just like, I had a dream about it. I'm going to go get that guy.
You know what that is? And I think I see this. I'm working on this right now. This is just kind of like percolating in my head. So let me try to follow through on this. But I think between that and I just look at some of these quotes and you know, talking about how he's getting in with it with some of the guys on in the press corps about, you know, the draft and everything about this, that I really do feel like just as Dan Campbell gets, you know, emotionally psyched up for a lot of things about game day, this is Brad Holmes' game day. Yeah. So, and I feel like, and I'm between this, the villains and like yelling and hugging and everything else. We've seen him slam on tables. This is an emotional man this time of year, man. This fuels him. This is him like slapping the face and getting ready to go in and trade some stocks.
Man, dude, you know what's so ironic about that is that for years, right? The joke was always that for Lions fans, the draft was their Super Bowl, but for Brad Holmes, they just needed to find a GM who treated this like it was their Super Bowl, right?
No matter where you're picking, yeah. Well, you know what could help make any day your Super Bowl? The official beef jerky of the Pride of Detroit POD cast, our sponsor, Righteous Felon Craft Jerky and Meat Sticks. Each 2-ounce bag of jerky has 16 to 20 grams of protein. Each meat stick, yeah, they got meat sticks too. Big ol' Slim Jim type things. No, I shouldn't call them Slim Jims. They're their own thing. But hey, 8 grams of protein in those. I'm on a protein kick right now. I told myself I would be working out for Lent, and I can say, as we had, it is Good Friday as to record, heading into Easter Sunday, down 10 pounds. You know how I do that, Jeremy? Heavy protein.
Hell yeah.
All protein. Just
Honestly,
high protein, cottage cheese, beef jerky.
I've mentioned it a couple times, like those midday snacks when you're going for like, oh well, pop chips, they're healthy, no protein in them. They're not going to make you feel as full as beef jerky is. Beef jerky,
no,
high protein, low calorie. It's a great midday snack.
Yeah, wash it down with some water to balance out the sodium, and you're groovy, man. You're absolutely groovy. They got them in turkey jerky, and you may think, oh, turkey jerky. Listen, man, Ryan may have walked away, but the foul Capone is not to be messed with. That is some fantastic tasting jerky, and we're going to help sweeten the pot here for you. Go to righteousfelon.com. Use the promo code POD15 at checkout, POD15. It'll get you 15% off your order. Listen, man, I see chats already talking about how expensive a lot of snacks and fast food are right now. We're saving you money. We're saving you money. You get it shipped straight to your door, ready to satisfy those cravings. Keep yourself with good quality protein. POD15, POD15 at righteousfelon.com. When we come back on the Pride of Detroit POD cast, we will weigh in on the draft itself. A whole just open conversation about everything you want, including who we think could be a steal. That's next. All right. Alien Vivid, I do not think they can do low sodium beef jerky. The salt is literally what preserves it.
We need a salt replacement that isn't salt. A low sodium salt. Is that a possibility?
Listen, man, I have been dealing with high blood pressure as well, and I'm just telling you, man, all it is just watching what you're doing, balancing things, and water. Anyway, happy birthday, man.
Thanks, man. Thanks, Krolik. Thanks to everyone who wished a happy birthday either on social, in the chat, whatever. Thanks to BT Benny, who good friend of mine, just gifted 5 subs to the chat.
I was about to say, it's been a long time since I've seen a gifted sub alert. Just suddenly watching that like slam through, I'm like, wow.
It's yeah. It's been a long time since the days where we pitted gifted subs to
versus
either
the mustache.
Yeah, to keep the stash or shave the stash. That was our peak in Twitch subscriptions, and it felt like extortion a little bit.
It was. I know our audience on Twitch has kind of also dipped down tremendously since something happened to us around this time of year.
True,
but
and I think the fact that we move over to YouTube, I think a lot of people that were on Twitch would move over to YouTube, which is fine. It's more convenient. I get it.
I just wish those people would show up and chat instead of the old grandpas. But by the way, I'll get our alerts kicked off. Rise the Beast, $2. Thank you for the shout out. Perfect comedic timing, he says. What did we call it? Did that happen during midweek mailbag? I think it came during midweek mailbag. Might have come during midweek mailbag. You can rewind on Twitch. That is a great point, J Poop.
True.
I honestly I do enjoy watching a lot of streaming stuff these days more on YouTube than Twitch.
I wonder if Twitch would ever consider doing that. I don't know why they don't. I mean, you can watch the VOD and go back and forth, but
because they're
scrolling live,
to squeeze blood from that stone. That's why.
Oh, my allergies have been killing me today. All right, let me get through the rest of these alerts real quick, and then we can chat about whatever y'all want to chat about. No Decaf kicked us off with a 49-month subscription.
Yeah, it didn't let me give a message with it, so it'll probably ping me next chat, and you'll get an alert again on that because thank you, Twitch.
Yeah. I mean, you should be able to refresh the page, and then it would let you type a message, I thought. But
I have refreshed it like 3 times to set up the moderator stuff.
Oh, God. Hold on. Okay. A quarter.
So LJ... Oh.
What?
never mind. I'll talk in chat about Five Guys instead of talking over your alerts.
Okay, Frank. Sorry. I got caught up in a chat. A quarter. Thank you for 30 months. Says, here's to the draft. Going to be an interesting one. Thanks for the great coverage as always. Of course. Big Z Dubs 21 months says, what is the draft value of a good beat writer? Oh. I think a team values a good beat writer with approximately, in this year's draft, I would say probably like a 20-35 conditional 7th round pick. No more, no less. Dan Pask 46 months says, I cannot wait for the draft to get here. A bit more arduous than other years. Bleacher Report's mock draft yesterday had us trading up with the Cards for Jalen Walker with AG's pick next year. So 2026 third round pick. What do you guys think? And thanks for everyone. Thanks for everything. Where are the Cardinals? What pick do they have?
16, I think.
So they're trading up to 16 with next year's third round.
I don't think that's enough to get it done.
Probably depends on what thingy you use. But like a mid, so a third round this year,
like
or
a late third round pick next year.
No, well, yeah, you're right, because they said Aaron Glenn's, so it's a late compensatory pick.
Third?
That's not going to be enough to move up.
And you also have to remember
Spielberger chart is no way.
Oh, he says sorry with this year's second.
Oh, well now
that changes things.
That's
enough.
Work.
That's probably enough.
That's enough, but also too much.
I don't like it. Too much. Do you have thoughts on Jalen Walker? I feel like we haven't talked about him at all because we're just assuming he's gone. It's a Georgia defender, so I'm already halfway on board. But he's certainly undersized for what they generally look for, and probably a better pass rusher than run defender. I'd be a little surprised. That to me, that doesn't seem the right guy to do that for. If your guy Derek Carmen's there,
drive.
Which is funny enough. That's where Baumgartner had him slotted in his mock draft. Was at 16.
Harmon?
Yeah,
I don't think Harmon's going to get there to the Lions. To the Lions.
There's so many players that I can say that for.
True. It's very easy to say that for.
We were doing that with Shamar Stewart the other day too, right? Like Shamar Stewart won't be there. Derek Harmon won't be there.
Yeah, those two guys won't. Michael Williams won't be there.
That Derek Harmon article that we posted, there were 10 people in the comments that are like, "Oh, he won't make it there," and then, he's a day 2 guy," and I'm like,
right.
What?
I had one of my coworkers saying Gray Zabel won't be there for the Lions.
Maybe not.
But he thought Tyler Booker. He thought the Lions would be able to get Tyler Booker, but Gray Zabel would go before Tyler Booker, which is very possible.
Could happen. Gray Zabel's the number 1 center in the class.
Yeah,
I still think it's wild that a guy that has never taken a center snap in his career is Dane Rugler's number 1 center.
I didn't.
Well, can you point to another center?
Yeah, I didn't read too much into Arif Hassan. I think it was just on Twitter. I don't think he wrote anything about it, but he was talking about how North Dakota State prospects get this weird special rub that other FCS schools do not get in terms of North Dakota State guys are consistently ranked higher and teams are more willing to take chances on them, but there really isn't a great track record on North Dakota State players panning out. But it's the NFL just keeps on doing it. It's
how many North Dakota State?
There's a lot. You'd be surprised at how many North Dakota State players. Christian Watson.
I see there's a list cast. I'll have to pull up that in a second here, but let me get through the rest of the alerts here real quick. Sorry. You got the Rise Beasts. Terra DC, thank you for the 24-month subscribe to the channel. Again, BT Benny, thank you for the 5 gifted. And yeah, Detroit, thank you for the 68 months subscribed to the channel. I feel like every time Detroit subscribes, I ask this question, but I think he's the highest at 68 months, which means we're a month away
Next
from
month. Very nice.
a very nice subscription leader.
All right, so I'm gonna do this real quick here because I looked up the North Dakota State draft picks.
Yeah.
So starting in 2016, Carson Wentz.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, there's more, but like this is like the first round pick I think of a North Dakota State player. So like Carson Wentz, Joe Haig, Easton Stick, and then 2021 Trey Lance in the first round, Dylan Redunz, tackle that was drafted by Tennessee that now plays for New Orleans. He was a second round pick. Christian Watson in 2022. There's a fourth round pick.
He hasn't had a
Cordell
quarterback
Volson.
though. Not fair.
How
dare you? He does have one on the roster. They just
I'm sure they're killing it with the scout team, both of them.
And then
I think
that
there is
Cody Mauk, he got drafted in the second round in 2023. I don't know how
he
his
not been
career's
great?
turned out, but
I do think that there is something to that in that, like, North Dakota State it's definitely the mystique of that program and how much it was hyped. Like, I mean, and like, I know they've accomplished a lot of great things, Ryan, but you could probably have said the same about Georgia Southern and Appalachian State for all those years. And like, you know, there's plenty of great guys who've gone through South Dakota and South Dakota State, but we just end up talking about the Bison.
I mean, it's crazy that they've had 2 first-round quarterbacks, and both of them were busts.
But, well,
Cody got a 74.6 PFF grade last year. Cody
Not
Mauk.
bad. That's one
bad.
year. How do you do his rookie season?
I don't remember. I closed out the window.
Yeah.
Sorry, I don't know.
It was like an orangish hue.
I don't know. Maybe.
I just want
I'm
to think
colorblind.
on this on Carson Wentz that I still have people out there who will still go for bat, and they're still going for bat right now on Mason Rudolph working as a quarterback for a full season. Like, you know, they already got their quarterback in with the Steelers. They'll be able to roll with him. He should be fine. Look how he did for half a year with the Tennessee Titans, but nobody will do that anymore with Carson Wentz. You can't even try with Carson Wentz.
Those people should have to watch the 2021 game where he played against the Lions on repeat.
Rudolph or Wentz?
Mason Rudolph.
Oh, yeah. Well,
But the Lions' first non-loss of the Dan Campbell era. The ugliest game of all time.
Gosh. I remember we looked that up, and I still remember that DeAndre Swift, I think, had a career high carries. Like
should
32 or something like that.
be on the list of games that we watch for the special stream that we have to do?
It's very A Clockwork Orange of you, if that's one of the things we have to watch.
jeez. Ah, my droogies.
All right.
We caught up?
Do you want? Yeah, we're caught up. Do you want to talk Aaron Rodgers?
I feel like we kind of have to. We kind of have to go to bat for our man Aaron Glenn, don't we?
Oh,
I would
gosh.
love to.
Part of that gave me pause because you said Aaron, and both of their names are Aaron. And I was like, where are you going with this?
Well, that's what I was framing this with our producer, Aaron versus Aaron. Who you got? You know,
Gosh,
one of our hosts didn't like the idea of leading with the topic. He wanted to talk about the Lakers instead, and it's like, you know, I know it's not a tremendous take, but I think it's very easy to just be like, we're opening up the phone lines. Which Aaron's side are you on, Glenn or Rodgers? Because it's very, like, I think it says a lot about who you are, how you view these things. Because, and I think the only point I've heard that you can maybe be fair about when talking about Rodgers versus Glenn is it's the Jets. And this kind of feels like it's in line with a lot of their other dysfunction, but I'm sorry, that's exactly how I'd handle Aaron Rodgers, because you just know, Ryan, the big thing was him bitching about, like, oh, I had to fly all the way out here on my own dime. And it's like, if they had given you a phone call, you'd be bitching about them being, you know,
Afraid to say it to his face.
yes,
Right.
exactly.
Yeah, because he'd be some tough guy.
And
about
even then, Aaron Glenn was Rodgers was trying to make it out to be like, oh, it was very out of left field. The GM was so nice to me, and the rest of the team is so nice. The president, I just don't know where this was coming from.
What I didn't pick this up when I watched the session myself, but some people in the comment section and on Twitter caught this, and I'm curious if this is actually how it played out or not. But Aaron's retelling the story, and I don't know why he's so weirded out about like, hey, he's having a conversation with Aaron Glenn, and Aaron Glenn's like, hold on a second, let me get the GM. Like, why is that weird that he left the room to get the general manager? That seems what you'd want to do is like, hey, if we're getting into it, let me get the general manager so we can have this conversation. But after that, Aaron Glenn asks him like, hey, do you want to play football still? And he goes, I'm interested. Let's talk about it. Like, not like, and that's when Aaron Glenn goes, we're not interested in you. Like, we're moving on from you. And a lot of people are like, I wonder if he had like answered that question a little more enthusiastically, Aaron Glenn would have been like, okay, let's talk. But instead he's like, well, I'm interested. I'm thinking about it. Like,
it's almost kind of like Aaron Glenn has to sell him on being a quarterback for the Jets. It's like,
right.
What?
Right.
Yeah.
And I mean, what do you know about Aaron Glenn? Like, he wants like, if you don't want to be there, if you don't like anything that the Lions have been all about in the last, if there's any question about whether you want to play football for this team, there's the freaking door. And so when he gives this soft, like, maybe will I, won't I, which is, by the way, still going on right now. Aaron Glenn's like, okay, we have no use for you. Get out of here. Like, yeah, of course that's going to happen. Now, the one thing where I'm at least a little bit on Aaron Rodgers' side is like, okay, like he does kind of have a point. Like, why not pick his brain about like, who do you like in the locker room? Who could be a good leader? That sort of things. But the way Rodgers told that story tells me things went sour in an instant. Where he's like, why didn't you do this over to like you? And then Aaron Glenn does the whole like, hey, I don't want people watching you when I'm making a speech, right? I don't want you to be a distraction. And he's like, what? You think I'm going to undermine you? You don't know me. And then Aaron Glenn goes, you don't know me. And he's like, that's why I flew out here. And it's like, okay, things have spiraled out of control. There's like, I don't want to like, there was an ego clash here where I think maybe that meeting could have lasted hours and they could have gotten some of that information, but like there was a clear clash of personalities. Aaron Rodgers is not used to someone being blunt to him. He's used to people bending over backwards for him, and Aaron Glenn wasn't going to have it. And so he's just like, all right, well, we might as well end this if we can't talk for 15 minutes without getting at each other's throat, get out of here.
I got questions about how the story is being told too. Like, it is definitely it the way it's portrayed. I keep coming back to Dickensian. It's like this. It feels very much so like an Oliver Twist, where he's just going up to his, please, sir, I'd like to be a quarterback, sir. And just like this evil man just spitting in his face over it. Just, I am, and at the end, he's like, they got a lot of problems in that building, man. It's like, they just got, but come on. Dude. They got, like,
right. That's that when he takes the cheap shot at the end where he's just like, I wasn't surprised because I've been around there and I've seen what happens the last 2 years. I'm like, you're complaining about Aaron Glenn who wasn't even there.
You're the reason we were doing this over the 2 years. What you see what's going on there in 2 years? Yeah, that was you. The problem is with you. Like, I don't know how to really take it. I kind of want to hear Glenn's side of things, and I know we just won't get that.
Nope, never.
But at the same time, again, ultimately at the end of the day, because I see already, certain people falling for this stuff. Again, it's like, I think there is this weird idea, Ryan, that like we are still, some people, even with all of this drama, are still falling into this trap in their mind where they're talking about Aaron Rodgers as a quarterback and a headache. That is worth it. And he's not. For God's sake, Zach Wilson did better than him in 2023 than Rodgers was in 2024. Like, that's how far down we were as people are like, because I've heard, well, why would you do, like, even for those who want to take Aaron Rodgers' side, it always comes back to this idea that, like, why are you doing this to a future Hall of Fame quarterback? Well, is he playing as a Hall of Fame quarterback right now? Because the answer is no. The answer is absolutely no. And by the way, the kicker on all of this, where do we hear about this? Where do we hear about how, about this on the fucking Pat McAfee show once again? the source of 80% of all the problems of Aaron Rodgers. He's telling us the story about this, about what should be a private conversation on the Pat fucking McAfee show. Again.
ESPN is down bad when it comes to on-air talent.
It's just
at least they're heavy hitters. The one thing I want to say about Rodgers though is that the quote that stuck out to me was when they were talking about the possible deadline for joining the Steelers, and he's like, "This entire time, I haven't felt like I've owed anybody any decision at any point." And it's like, okay, well, like going back to the conversation with Aaron Glenn, your lack of conviction or saying like you owe anybody, like that's part of being a team. Is that you like you like you owe yourself to the team. And
how about owing your new coach an answer? How about that?
And it's like, okay, like I don't know why all these teams continue to bend over backwards for a guy who hasn't gotten past the divisional round since 2020. And since then, he's torn his Achilles and had an awful falling out in New York. And it's like if I was a Pittsburgh Steelers fan and they were to sign Aaron Rodgers, I would pick a new football team to watch for at least a season. Because I mean, it'll last for a year, right? But like, if I was a Steelers fan, I imagine. Here's the other thing too: the whole Viking saga, right? Like, if I was a Vikings fan and they brought in Aaron Rodgers after drafting JJ McCarthy, I don't know if I'd watch a season of Vikings football. Like, I'd just be checked out of a season of Vikings football. I would watch anything else on Sunday.
And here's
anything else.
The thing too. I like this part too from there, Jeremy, is like how he's making it's like, I don't need much to play football. I'm just asking for $10 million. Like, come.
What a team player. No, well, you know why he only needs $10 million is because when he joins your franchise, here comes Alan Lazard, here comes another, here comes
Randall Cobb.
Randall Cobb. Here comes
Tim
Boyle. Tim Boyle to be his backup. Like, you got to save the money to bring in all of his guys, which is, I mean, like, I'm not even really joking that much because here's the thing, like, yes, he's probably only going to be wherever he goes for one more year, but he is going to impact that team's roster beyond next year because he's going to ask to do these dumb moves too.
Right. Yeah. It leaves you without like a space to like draft a developmental guy on a spot because you have to have Alan Lazard on your team. You know.
Yeah. They the Jets have to fix some of there's a lot of things the Jets have to fix on their roster, and some of that comes from the fact that Aaron Rodgers was dictating the roster.
Well, also they traded draft capital to get Aaron Rodgers.
Yeah, and then they traded more for Devontae Adams.
How'd that work out?
Man, we're outlining why I thought Aaron Glenn would like never take the Jets job.
Yeah,
yeah,
true. But like, I think I've told you a couple times, like when Aaron Glenn got that job, I went on this like Jets Twitter talk, and they asked me about Aaron Rodgers, and I said, like, listen, I'm going to fully admit I am not completely objective when I talk about Aaron Rodgers. He tormented my franchise for 10 years, but I would be shocked if Aaron Glenn got along with that guy. Shocked. And lo and behold,
it took one meeting.
It took 10 minutes for them to get at each other's throat and divorce.
But you would think a guy like, this is the other thing too. It's like a guy like Aaron Glenn played in the time of Aaron Rodgers. He knows what Aaron Rodgers is about. He coached during the time of Aaron Rodgers. He knows what Aaron Rodgers is about. He has been around long enough to see everything that Aaron Rodgers does, both around organizations and through media. And like, again, it's not like we're just talking about like, oh, this guy was so perfect and sweet right before he went to the Jets. It was just a bad fit. Just no, he terrorized the Packer, like his actions with the Packers organization. How many times he kept throwing presidents and managers and all that stuff under the bus over there in Green Bay as well. Like, this is not new. This is not new. You're not going to do it again, dude.
All right. Did you think you were going to talk about Aaron Rodgers so much on your birthday, Jeremy?
Well, I mean, if I get an opportunity to laugh at him and point out how ridiculous that entire media session or whatever you want to call it was. It's not the worst way to spend my birthday.
Is there anything else to talk about?
I got nothing else.
I was talking about Five Guys in the chat. What's our list cast, by the way?
Oh, I don't know. I should pull that up. I really need to get a new like layout on my other screen here so that I can see everything. Let me pull up. Oh, now you're gonna double hear me. Hold on.
I have it.
Okay.
Top 3 players you would want for the Lions in the first round, regardless of the spot they currently draft, i.e., draft capital to move up, is not considered if they would move up to 10 to get your preferred player.
So just top 3 guys on my Lions board, essentially?
So yeah. Top 3 guys on the board, period, I would say, yeah.
For the Lions.
Sure.
I mean, Abdul Carter is one with a bullet.
So, can I... Is there like... Because here's the thing. Like, I'm not totally sold on Cam Ward.
Okay.
Especially like the spot that Callahan is in, right? It's like if you take the rookie quarterback now, like you get 1 year. And then the next year, it's like, okay, now you're on the hot seat. Like third year as a head coach, you got to take your quarterback. That's like a tough spot to put yourself in. So like, is the foot thing enough to keep them away from Abdul Carter?
Are you still talking about the Lions, or are you
talking
just
about
talking
the
about
Titans? No, you're talking about the Titans.
I'm talking about the Titans. Like it just at number 1. So I'm saying like the concerns about like the foot. And I know it was like kind of put to bed, but like there's still like lingering things about that people like I keep on reading things about it.
I'm not that familiar with the situation, to be completely honest. I have not paid attention to the top of
But
this
that's what
year's
I mean.
draft.
You say that's what I mean. You say Abdul Carter. Is it just like, oh, like, I mean, yeah, he'd be awesome for the Lions, but like, what if his foot's hurt? I don't know. Like that was the question. Like,
yeah.
Yeah.
Would you consider what? Why can't I can't see? This is how little I'm paying attention to the top of the draft. The corner wide receiver from Colorado,
Travis Hunter.
Travis Hunter. Would you consider him above Abdul Carter if you got some injury concerns?
I don't. This is why it sucks to be the Titans this year. like nobody. Like who wants that number 1 overall pick? Nobody.
Better than the 4th.
I think it's. I mean, I think it's all moot just because, like, from what I understand, like the Titans have been sending like camera crews all around Cam Ward. They've made it very clear.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I know. But what I'm saying is choosing 3 prospects for the Lions and then like leading off with a blue Carter. I was just asking about like the foot thing.
Okay.
That like, I don't know if there's like a cleaner like. I think maybe number 1 for me might be like Mason Graham.
He's definitely my top 3.
Like it seems like a very like low risk you're going to get like a really good football player.
Yeah. Yeah. It's true. I don't know who the third guy would be for me, though.
Malachi Starks.
No. Absolutely not. I mean, maybe I just go Abdul Carter, Mason Graham, Travis Hunter.
Thought for sure you were going to say Will Howard.
No.
Kenneth Grant?
No. I'm not enthused about adding a nose. I see. I don't want a nose tackle though. Not in the first round. Not at the top of the first round.
You want to go, Ryan, or should I?
No, go ahead.
Okay. See, the problem is there's just a couple guys I'm just absolutely in love with, and I know I need to like reposition myself and start thinking about the top of the draft too, because I've been so honed in on those guys. I just kind of like lose sight. I would say I don't know how the Lions. See, this is where I'm like, can I really start talking about like a tackle instead of a guard? And I don't think I'm there yet when it comes to that, because like, you know, I do love me some Will Campbell. I do think he's top of the draft. And that's probably long-term need for the Detroit Lions. But are you again? I'm getting lost in the sauce a little bit, and that's against the spirit of this. You see where I'm saying though? It's like, can I justify adding a Will Campbell to this roster?
It's tough because they drafted Giovanni last year.
I mean, I'm not even thinking about Giovanni. I'm thinking about, what do you like? Just
Trade Decker?
Then I turning around and offloading Decker. Yeah.
Trade him like you did Swift after you drafted
Jameer Gibbs.
Jameer. Trade him on day
Yeah,
3 of the draft.
Not that big of an upgrade, though.
So I mean, then it's just gonna have to go back to the edges then. So I would go probably like, I mean, I really like Walker. I really like Mason Graham. You know what? No, I Jahad Campbell rounds out my third.
That is
Jahad Campbell.
Linebacker. Third on your draft
Yeah.
board.
But like we've talked about him plenty on like what makes him
Sure.
special, about what makes him interesting, what makes him for the Lions someone that like you immediately slot in as Sam and as someone who's taking over for Alex Anzalone after a few years, for someone who can play off ball, someone who can pass rush, someone who can play Sam, Mike, like whatever you want out of a linebacker. Like he can do it, and he's a physical freak.
That's fair. My 3 would be Derek Harmon.
Oh, sorry.
Oh, no, go ahead.
I might throw. Actually, you know what? I might throw someone off this list, and I'm not sure if it's Campbell or if it's. Actually, I just realized I have 2 Campbells on this list. I don't know how you feel about Tyler Warren.
No,
Ryan.
you took mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
That's fine.
Sorry.
But yeah, I would draft Tyler Warren and let Sam Laporta's rookie contract play out.
I feel like this is part of your war against the people that want them to trade
100%.
JMO next year.
100%. Like, I think it's so stupid that people cite that. Like, well, they got to re-sign Laporta and re-sign Branch and re-sign this and re-sign that. And it's like, okay, but also Jameson Williams might be more talented than any of those guys that you just named off.
Laporta has definitely cooled down a little bit.
But he had a
from the rookie
gun.
season.
But he had a gun.
No, come on. I don't think the people that think that
100%, Jeremy. That
some
plays
some
into it.
some
A lot. I think more than you're willing to.
But I listen. I think it's very possible that this is what happens next year, and it's not based on my own analysis. It's based on what Brad Holmes said.
Yeah.
When he goes out there and says, "I don't know, wide receivers are expensive," red alarm bells should be going off, right?
Yeah. Yeah. Also, it could be, hey, wide receiver are expensive. The good ones, like JMO, if you play that well, we can justify the expense. I agree with the fact that, hey, it's one season, right?
Yeah.
But I think it's a very underrated one season from a lot of people because they aren't willing to, like, let bygones be bygones. And it's like, okay, he got stuck in for a dumb rule about
Agreed.
gambling on the team facility. A big nothing burger with the gun. Like, and then he had the season that he had.
The PEDs.
I'm not worried about that at all.
I'm not really either, but
I'm not worried about it in the slightest, but that's the thing is I feel like people are discrediting like what promise he showed. And dude, it just comes back to the NFC Championship game. Like I saw that game and I was like, it's there. And it can happen.
Yep.
And then it happened.
Yep.
You can talk to Aaron Schatz. He'll tell you that it's impossible for a wide receiver to ever have more than 17 yards per catch in the NFL.
That one is going to eat at your craw for so long. And I love it. I love you for it.
Aaron, this is the segment of Aaron's. But Aaron, don't look at me and tell me that something can't happen when it's happened before and then it did happen last year. Was it 17.3, 17.4, Jameson Williams?
Something like that.
Per reception?
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing, too, is I think people are kind of, like, what does JMO have to do next year to justify the contract? And it's like he doesn't have to catch 100 passes, right?
No.
He doesn't have to catch 90
Nope.
passes. He doesn't have to catch 80 passes.
Yep.
If he continues to be over 17, how many of those guys exist? Like Brandon Ayuk ended up getting a contract because of that.
Yeah.
Like super unfortunate that he got hurt. Maybe that doesn't bode well for Jameson Williams, right? Where it's like, I think that's where people maybe get some of the Sunday scaries about a JMO extension. It's like, oh, well, like 49ers did that, and like look at where the 49ers are now. I mean, there's a lot of bad drafting in there that I think people are ignoring, but like that's my thing. Is like I don't think he has to be 100 reception guy. Like that's dumb. Like I don't like that won't happen on a team where Amon-Ra St. Brown plays.
It's tricky. I mean, the financials are going to be tricky. They just are. If you're spending a ton of money on two really good receivers, I'm not going to take anything away from JMO's skill. It's more just about fitting it on your roster, fitting it on your salary cap. And Brad Holmes even said it on Thursday. Like, generally speaking, drafts are full of wide receivers every year. Every year. And so when you're balancing a budget, you have to really think about paying two wide receivers top tier money when there are cheap options out there every single year. Every single year.
But so May 1st is an important date.
5th year option?
Yeah. 100% the option should be picked up.
Yeah, and Brett said he will.
Yeah. But that's the thing is like this conversation brought on by the powers that be. It's not even a discussion. Like Jameson Williams should play his 5th year option here in Detroit. Like regardless of what they do in the draft, they could draft Matthew Golden in the 1st round. I don't care. Jameson Williams should be here and will be worth being on the roster at that price point of his 5th year option.
Yeah, I mean, probably. I mean, he should definitely be here this year, but next year it's tricky because
long term, what do the Lions have at wide receiver, Jeremy?
Well, if they draft Matthew Golden, it's Matthew Golden and Amon-Ra St. Brown, and that ain't half bad.
That ain't half bad, but that's not a whole room.
No. But how are you going to get Matthew Golden and Jameson Williams on the field? Neither of those guys are X's.
You should probably get creative. You should probably figure it out. Like that's the thing, though, is like we just had a conversation in the first segment about best player available and just drafting talent. And
sure.
I don't think Brad Holmes would bat an eye at like this is a great problem to have.
Sure.
I have leverage.
Yes.
Like
100%.
I'm not saying that you have to re-sign JMO after the 5th year, option.
Right.
Right. If you draft a player Matthew Golden, but it certainly gives you a hell of a lot of leverage.
It does. The tricky part for me is just
it doesn't leave you sliding into home plate, Jeremy.
That's right. It's just you play out 2025 with both those guys on the roster. You get to 2026. What are you doing? You're going to roll with them again? You're going to have them split time again? You're going to burn the 2nd year of Matthew Golden's rookie contract splitting time?
I mean, they were willing to burn a year of Jameson Williams being injured.
Not 2.
Well, Jameson Williams kind of forced them to do that.
A little bit. So it was his fault. You just admitted it. Boom.
Well,
you hate Jameson Williams.
Everybody grows up. Maybe you will too someday.
Wow.
Wow.
I am your elder.
That was a birthday
by an extra year now, because that's how ages work.
That's how, yeah.
You just gained the full year. Like I'm not 38 point anything.
Leveled up.
I'm 38, then I'm 39.
We're not allowed to talk about stuff like this after the discussion we had about how old the podcast is.
When did we have that discussion?
I think it was when we came back. Like, I was confused if it was 10 or 9.
That's right.
Or how
oh, right. We were like having a bodybuilder for a moment where we just couldn't count.
Oh, yeah, I'm 25. Sorry. No one said 39.
Oh, excuse me. Segment dose?
Yeah, I think so.
The Keys?
I think so. Yeah.
Damien, thank you for the £2 and the happy birthday wishes. And that's it. I'm caught up.
I might want to go mix a drink. Might want to go make a drink real quick while
Okay.
to get us going.
Go do it.
Maybe I don't know, Ryan, do you have to break down Pistons basketball for Jeremy so he at least knows what he's watching tomorrow?
How dare you? I've been watching the last couple weeks.
He lives with Harry.
It's
He's
true.
in good hands.
I sometimes listen to his podcast, the Order of the Blazing Horse podcast. Shout out.
Worth a follow, worth a listen.
Yep.
Absolutely. The thing I'm most excited about is not Saturday. It's Thursday. I want to know if they do the intros.
The final countdown. I see a lot of people really want the final countdown.
I want it so bad. So bad. So bad. Like Mason's still here.
Right.
Like do it while he's still here.
Right?
Yes. Isn't that crazy?
Can they get Rashid to come in and just do?
Oh my gosh, dude! Like the same thing with like the Red Wings, like the goal horn or whatever.
Yeah.
You need to get him here with his WCW championship belt, and you need him in the middle.
Yeah,
I would love it. I would love it. That would be fantastic.
I think you gotta.
Like, probably a top 5 feeling at a sporting event was being in the Palace when those flames would go off.
Mm-hmm.
And like didn't matter where you were in the arena, like you could feel the heat.
Yes. Yeah.
And it just so
and then
cool.
that shitty football team who set fire ruined it for everybody.
Wait, what?
I don't know. I don't know.
Okay.
They probably still can do it in basketball.
When did that happen?
Do you remember? It was like 4 or 5 years ago. It was a team like Jacksonville or Tennessee. Like part of the turf caught on fire, and
I think I remember this.
And then I don't know if anyone can do pyrotechnic type stuff like big fire flames in the NFL anymore. They definitely stopped doing it for a while. I don't know if that was.
Dude.
Was it the Titans, Dustin?
The NFL, man.
I'm sure.
No fun league.
Yeah, right.
What shirt are you wearing? Is that the Little Caesar?
It's the Little Caesar, but it's with the character from Strangers with Candy. And she's just saying pizza, 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 because she says that during one episode.
Oh, okay.
Strangers with Candy is one of my favorite TV shows of all time that no one's ever heard of.
I've never heard of it, but then again, I never heard of Search Party until stumbling upon it.
Yeah. Shout out to anybody who knows what I'm talking about. One of Stephen Colbert's finest works. Pre-Daily Show.
That sells me on it. For sure. What about other? What are like just unique, awesome in-game experiences that you remember?
Ooh.
Is there anything like I mean, there has to be like something about like the big house, right? Like just I mean, having that much humanity in like one place, like when something really crazy happens.
I think, I mean, I've had a lot of bad memories in that stadium. I was going to school there when App State happened.
Yeah, but you were there for the Braylon catch though, right?
I was there for the triple overtime against Michigan State, and that is probably one of the most cherished memories. And I just like night games. There's something too about night games. Like that wasn't a night game, but it became a night game. The Notre Dame game. There was a Penn State game where I think Mario Manningham had the game winner with like 10 seconds left.
I think I remember that one. What was Notre Dame the Denard Robinson game?
Maybe.
I think so. That was the game where he went ballistic.
But yeah, that seeing I think the best part about the big house is just the outdoorsness of it, because we don't get that with the Lions, right? So outdoor night game is so unique and fun, and Manningham was freaking out. How dare you?
Chris, we were talking about in-game experiences that stand out to you, because I started off with the flames that used to go off in the Palace and how you could like feel the flames no matter where you were sitting.
So this is tough for me because I genuinely like, and I don't know if this is just my neat freak nature or something else sometimes, but like I just have not gone to, or my anxiety, but I just haven't gone to a lot of like live games in my life.
But
Like
you've
I've
gone to
probably
like
gone,
golf tournaments, I bet.
I've gone, so I went to the US Open in 2023 and I had, and but like I would say that's memorable, but I would also say that's like open bar.
Sure.
Um, uh,
Yeah.
um, but sure, that's part of the experience. I can't say I've gone to anything special. Like I think I want to take my dad in a couple of years to St. Andrews when the Open rolls around to that. And I guess I'll report back. So I've been to the US Open. I've been to one Tigers game. I've been to a Dodgers game, a Padres game, an Angels game. I've been to Notre Dame twice in my life.
UFC?
USC I've been to. I went to a night game at USC.
See that?
Which is
I
like
bet
you
that was
think
real
about
fun.
I well yeah, I mean it was kind of cool because it was kind of an alumni night. They had like Troy Polamalu and Juju Smith-Schuster there. The thing about USC that's cool that I enjoy about the games is it really is a cross. It's not just the alum at USC. It's not just the students at USC. You see a lot of people in there from the inner city as well. You see a lot of kids who are like going to high school and want to come out to a night game at the Coliseum, and you know there's trains to get in easy and everything. Like there is that. It kind of pales a little bit, I think, to the pageantry for where I would go with my dad to Notre Dame Stadium and everything else. But yeah, for the night game at the Coliseum for just kind of there's it's very understated, but there is a very Angelino feel to a USC night game that's really hard for me to pin down. Even in it was a really down year, but still, even in that down there, there's a lot of feel of community. There's the danger dogs outside. Everyone has the unlicensed hot dog carts with the bacon wrapped hot dogs and everything in the half of a jalapeno to throw on top, and those are tremendous. Like, I want to talk about LA food. It's the bacon wrapped hot dogs, Ryan.
Hmm.
But I and I've been to every Detroit game out there, but I don't really have a ton of experiences or big games I can talk about. I think yeah, it's one of those two. It's either Notre Dame or USC. And it's one of those two for me. Because like the Open was cool, but it was like the first time ever it was at LA Country Club, and it's kind of up and down, and it's not like Riviera, or it's not one of these other places that are like famous on the PGA Championship or the US Open. So it's not Augusta.
Not Augusta.
I still
No.
I, I still maintain that games at Yost Hockey Arena at Michigan were more fun. Were oftentimes more fun than football games at the Big House.
How much of that had to do with the quality of the product on the field, though?
60%.
Okay, yeah.
But like you get better seats because it's a really intimate arena.
Yeah.
The band's still in there, so you still get the band. You have all of these chants that are unique to hockey. Everyone learns all the words to them. You have people I mean, this is true for pretty much everyone, but it felt more true at hockey games where you're like, oh, there's a guy dressed up as Cookie Monster there. Oh, that's just the Cookie Monster guy. Oh, this guy's got Viking horns. That's the Viking horns guy. He shows up at every game.
Imagine trying to do that today. It's like, get that Vikings fan out of here.
But yeah, I love those. And you have all these like inappropriate chants that you can't say today too, but like
I still maintain that like going to hockey games is like, I mean, even going to the games of the Joe, like
yeah, man,
Oh yeah.
if you ever got to go to a playoff game, I think I only went to one ever. When like the big ceramic like octopus is like lowered toward, oh man, you just unlocked that memory for me.
Yeah. Yeah. Dude, I remember I went to a couple like before the streak ended. And like one of them I went to, I think it was like 2012 or 2013. It was against the Coyotes. And I just remember like, man, this is awesome. Like this is so cool. I hope they never leave here. And then I went to the last one in 2016.
Sucking.
Remember the game against the Lightning? It was the last playoff game that they won, but like It was the game where Abdelkader like got the Gordie Howe hat trick. I think he had like a goal and assist, and he got
Yeah,
into the
yeah.
fight.
Yep.
Yeah, and they won that game, and it was like, oh, maybe, and then they just got executed.
Trounced.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, but I don't know. Games at Little Caesars are so cool.
Yeah.
But
I mean,
it speaks to the football thing that you were talking about, right? With like U
Yeah.
of M, where it's like as soon as the product starts to be good, like the people will come,
Right.
And like,
and it's the same
I
thing
think that's what
people
that's
used to
what makes
say
it.
about Ford Field is like it doesn't have a character. I'm like, well, it needs an iconic moment to get that character.
Yes,
And Little
I think
Caesars
that's
just doesn't have that yet. Maybe it's Thursday.
maybe.
at the
I know
NFL
that's
draft,
definitely something I felt about USC going there. Like I'm like, because it was cool when I was going there at night at the Coliseum, but the entire time I was also thinking like, what was this place like during the Pete Carroll days?
Way different, I bet.
Will Ferrell's at every game. Like you're actually having Hollywood people show up. Like, yeah, no, I could see that. We were talking a little bit. I'm talking a little bit in chat with some of the people about golf stuff. I did watch some of the scenes from TPC Sawgrass, Nicholas, JP. And that's another one of those because I was thinking like there's like 3 places I would go as like a golf fan right now in the bucket list. Sawgrass is very good, but I would like to go. And like, people talk about Pebble Beach, but that's always from the context of like playing it. I don't really play golf. I just like watching it. But so in that sense, Augusta, St. Andrews, and the Waste Management Open in Phoenix just to get absolutely blitzed, Ryan.
I feel like that's the most unique Chris take I've ever heard. I don't like to play golf. I just like to watch it.
Well,
It's like the
this is
inverse of
tricky.
that for like
No, I know.
99%
But this
of
is,
people.
you know what? I blame my father for both of those things because on one hand, I've come up and I've really found I really enjoy like when I do get to see my dad watching some sports with him, and golf is his favorite sport. But also, it's his fault I'm not into playing golf because he tried to force me to play it when I was like, in my teenage and pre-teen years. And I hated getting bitten by mosquitoes every goddamn morning at the course at Inverness.
Oh man, that's tough. That's tough. Segment 2,
Let's do it.
let's go.
Let's
Segment 2.
do it. Our last POD segment before the NFL draft.
I would
That pause really scared me.
Ever.
Ever?
Ever.
All right. Welcome back to the Pride of Detroit POD cast, and it's time to talk about the draft. Yes, even you, Jeremy. It's time to finally talk about all 7 rounds. We're going to do a long-ass mock draft. 3 hours. No.
Don't
Jeremy's
don't get the people excited for something that's not going to happen.
excited for a mock draft.
We didn't even talk about Brad Holmes' best moment. Shut up and just watch the draft. Stop trying to predict what's going to happen. No one goes into a movie trying to predict what's going to happen in a movie.
I don't consider that the best part because this is undercutting what I want to do here. And then this is exactly what we're going to be doing for 40 minutes. So why are you even bringing that up? Why are you doing this to me?
Chicken jockey.
Oh, God.
What? You know what? No, this isn't a break anymore. We need to keep going.
Oh my gosh.
All right. Let's start with so we've got a series of questions here. We'll try to run down some of it, but let's start off the top. Let's talk about the big draft questions. What would an A+ draft look like to you, Ryan?
I think one thing, well, like technically two things, but one thing would be an A+ draft to me. All of the first round grade players for the Lions come off the board before 28. Brad Holmes moves back and gets draft capital for 2026 by going back into the second round. But he also lands one of those like second tier of edge guys, whether it's Landon Jackson or it's JT from Ohio State.
I do like
One of
JT a lot.
those, one of those kind of guys, like with a pick that's you could get some pretty good draft capital in 2026 by moving off 28 and going to like 41, 42, 43, and so you're not like really you're not taking a huge slide back, but you're definitely getting into a range where you could realistically get one of those guys. I think that would be an A plus draft to me. Like getting more draft capital for 2026 so that Brad can do more mad scientist stuff next year and also address a need. I don't think Brad Holmes would like me calling it a need, but
It's interesting because I'm typically all in on trading down and loading up on draft assets, but I feel like this is the first year where I'm like, meh, get 3 starters. That's all I want.
yeah, which I'm cool with, right? I
Right.
think the thing that's super important for me is like you don't need more draft picks this year though.
Right.
Like if you move back, I want draft capital in 2026. I
Right.
don't want 2025.
The
draft
question is
capital.
like, if you drop back 10 spots, let's say 28 to 38, you're probably picking like a 4th or maybe a 3rd next year. Which I mean, it's not nothing, but it's not great.
all of a sudden you have 3 third-round picks because you have the Aaron Glenn pick
True.
next year too.
That's true.
Some ammo where you could really move up. So
True.
Yeah.
But yeah, like I think the A+ draft for me, and sorry for being so vague, is like, yeah, it's get at least 3 starters and a rotational guy. And it doesn't, and obviously I'm not talking about starters this year. I'm talking about long-term starters. If you want to take it even further, get 4 guys that make it to a second contract here. That's an A+ draft. Obviously, I can't give it an A+ on draft night. But another good takeaway from Brad Holmes is like, hey, I know we live in this world of immediacy, but that's not what the draft is about. The draft is about long-term. So if they can get 4 guys to a second contract, I think that will look like an A+ draft. Now, if you want me to be more specific, yeah, of course I would love one of those positions to be on the defensive line, one of those positions to be a guard, one of those positions to be a wide receiver X, but I am going to take Brad Holmes' advice right now and not get too hung up on positions. I'm just not. Like, I think we need to start finally listening to him because this is the way he has operated, and this is the way that the Lions have gotten to where they are, where let's just get talented dudes and figure out where they fit later.
I want to come out of the draft feeling like there's no holes here, right? I'm going to look at the roster and I'm going to look at this coming year and say, we're good. We're absolutely good. And I don't know what that looks like right now. And I guess part of me is still angling towards the edge receiver because the edge rusher, because quite frankly, I don't trust to have a full year of Marcus Davenport. And I'd like a solution for that. I can wait a little bit on the defensive tackle, but I'd like to have a consistent 2025 campaign, especially with a new coaching staff coming in on both offense and defense. Other than that, I'd like at least one guy to help me resolve that. So if I was going to break it down, I'd say I want one guy who's going to make me feel good on, let's just say, defense, that there are no holes for this team. I know that's hard to do, but if I can I'm pretty, trust me, I'm pretty easy to please on this regard. And then I do want to at least see some acknowledgement for long-term needs that aren't just going to be addressed by, let's just try this developmental guy from Canada or from a small school. I want to see, if you're going to tell me that the draft is for a long-term need, then I'd like to see an investment on say the center or the tackle that isn't I know they have Giovanni Manu, but I still don't have any guarantee that Giovanni Manu is going to be, a starting tackle. And he might not, and that's fine if he's not. But if that's the case, then, it doesn't need to be that position. It could be tight end. It could be whatever. But something that tells me that's you've got a real talent ready to go in a couple of years.
So draft Matthew Golden in the first round.
Are we going back to this again?
No, we don't have to. We can.
We could. We could.
No, I don't want to.
Well, would that go under a F draft for you? because now it's the opposite side of the coin. Ryan, what does an F look like?
Well, so I think it's important to designate like an F draft in terms of like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that pick was made, like James Pierce. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like in the 1st round. I I just don't think like Brad Holmes would draft somebody like a prospect like that. You know what I mean? Like, so is it like within the realm of possibilities, like Brad Holmes could do this thing, like realistically, and that would make me like give it an F, or is it like, oh, they draft a third round player at the end at 28 because it's like, oh, he's one of my day one guys. I don't know. But honestly, I think if you were to take it either way, I think an F draft for me personally would be, I think, drafting a cornerback in the 1st round. Like, don't draft a cornerback. I don't care if it's
What about if it's
Will
Travis Hunter?
Johnson. No, it's like that. Well,
I mean, I know it's not gonna be Travis Hunter, but I'm gonna do that dumb devil's advocate on you there.
I would then say, well, he's actually a wide receiver.
Right. Right. Boom. Got out of it.
Sione Vaki, switcheroo. But like, I'm being serious. Like Will Johnson at the end of the 1st round, if he's there at 28 and Brad Holmes takes him because it's like, oh, BPA. No, I guess I kind of get it, but also like Rakestraw,
right?
Darian Arnold, and you just signed TJ Reed to a sizable extension. Like Amik Robertson doesn't really play into this, but it's like you have a core 3.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know if you really need to add another guy to the mix, unless like drafting a cornerback to me would almost be like, oh, I'm kind of worried about Ennis Rakestraw.
100%. Yes, and listen, it might not be an indictment of him. But if they go that route, I think it would be just Brad Holmes taking BPA to an extreme and just be like, hey, sorry, like, this is how it worked out. We really liked this guy and had no idea he was going to be there, and we couldn't help ourselves.
Like, it would be so unlike Brad Holmes, though, to, like, give up on a guy like that, where it's like, oh, you could draft Derek Harmon, or you could even draft a nose tackle, and I'd be like, oh, yeah, I've been out on Broderick Martin for a while, too. Like, what's going on?
Right.
No?
Yeah, I think he would decline saying that, right, we're not giving up. We still believe in Ennis Rakestraw, and I think he would actually mean it.
Yeah.
I think his point would be like, listen, and he said it a couple times, right? Like, you can never have too many corners. They get injured all the time. All you have to do is point to the last 2, 3, 4 years here, and he's right. And so I think you could talk yourself into that pick, but it would also be like, okay, can we start spending day 1 and day 2 picks on different positions a little bit, like even just a little bit?
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't like. This is a really tough question, even though I was the one that put it in the rundown for me to answer, because I can assure you there is going to be nothing that happens on draft night that is going to cause me at the end of day 3 to be like, that was an F draft. For one, I don't like grading drafts in the immediacy. I think the thing that would upset me the most would be to take a quarterback on day 1 or day 2. Like the Jalen Milroe stuff. Oh, they met with Jalen Milroe. Maybe they're going to draft Jalen Milroe. That would concern me.
That's not going to happen, though.
I don't think so.
If it does, Jalen Milroe, wide receiver.
just turn him into make him
anyone's a wide receiver if you think about it hard enough.
Right.
That's true.
But like that's the only thing that I feel like could trigger me at this. I mean, maybe another first round running back, but I don't think that's going to happen either.
Come on down.
Yeah, I'm like, if they got into like
kicker too.
Like, yeah, but I think that's just kind of the extreme, and maybe this is just the trust we have in Brad Holmes at this point, because like, I don't know, these words can always bite me, but like, yeah, unless you're like getting really gassed up on someone like Jackson Dart, it's hard for me to consider like what an F draft even looks like. Like the Lions kind of really set themselves up for pretty even keel on the roster, and then just it's a couple things that just plug up and it just looks good at the end. But I know what a lot of people will say is going to be an F draft, Jeremy, is if they don't take a pass rusher or a defensive tackle with a top 100 pick.
Right. And listen, I'm with you that I want that. But again, I just want to like reiterate, if you're drafting 28 or later, expecting an instant impact guy at that position is a tad unrealistic. It just is.
Like more than a tad. Like
Yeah.
it's pretty unrealistic.
Right.
Pretty damn unrealistic.
But I think the
yeah.
reason, but again, like I think the reason a lot of us want it is like it's also just a major long-term need. It is also what this draft class is deep in, and so you can get several. You can double up somewhere. Like I would love that. You double up on the trenches. This team also loves the trenches, so I think they will eventually go in that direction because of all those things. But it's not going to be a disaster if they don't.
Yeah. All right, let's let's move on a bit. Where do you stand on the quality versus quantity debate? I think I was kind of leaning this way a little bit earlier, Jeremy, about like, I'm of the belief that like at this point in where the Lions are with their roster and the fact that they've hit on so many draft picks and where they are constructed right now, I don't need like I think them walking out of this draft assuming a few trade ups like if you just got like 4 guys that you draft or even or 5 guys, I am completely cool with where that roster stands. I am absolutely on the quality over quantity at this point in the Lions organization. It wasn't like that plenty of years ago, and they were very lucky they hit on some third rounders. But like at this point, right now, absolutely quality over quantity. I'm not afraid of trade ups. I'm not afraid of getting rid of assets for this year. Don't know about giving up assets for next year yet. But for this year, if you walk out of there with less draft picks than where you start, I'm completely cool with that.
Yeah, I mean, I've talked about it already a little bit here, but it's very uncomfortable and unlike me to say just get as many bites at the apple. No general manager is perfect. If you just load up on as many draft picks as possible, you're gonna hit on a few, and that's all you need. Especially at this point, you just need to hit on a few. So why not take 10 swings this year, and eventually you're gonna land one of these guys because Brad Holmes got a great hit rate. I don't feel that way this year. I just don't. I don't. I'm with you. I do think I'd like to get as many top 100 picks here. So trade up, not drop back. I mean, if you want to drop back and get a couple extra top 100 picks, fine. But I am more inclined to come away with a great first round player, a pretty good second round player, maybe a third round player, and then special teams the rest of the way or rotational the rest of the way. It's not going to be easy, I think, in this year's draft to do that. They don't have a lot of draft capital to trade up. They might have to dig into next year's, which, based on what you guys have said, this podcast might not thrill you guys. But I think that might be the move this year, just because there are limited roster spots. I don't love the talent after day 2. There's some guys, and we'll talk about them in a second here, that especially at the defensive line position, I think you might be able to get some key contributors on day 3, but there's something, I don't know, maybe it's just like my overconfidence in Brad Holmes being able to target guys that he likes to trade up for. And he hasn't been perfect in it. Obviously, you can point to Broderick Martin and some other cases too. But in general, the guys that he's targeted for trade ups have been hits. And at this point, I might be just willing to say, keep doing you, Brad.
Are you calling Jameson Williams a hit right now?
I think he's a TBD. Mostly
oh my goodness.
Well, I mean, if you go back to that trade, I think we all agreed the value of just the trade picks alone was great.
Was worth the price of entry.
Yep.
Here's the thing I'll push back on quality versus quantity, because I agree. Like, if there's a player X who is a first round grade for Brad Holmes at 20, 21, 22, and he wants to move up, fantastic. Like, I'm all for it. Right? I can get behind that. The question that I want to ask is something that you said, Jeremy, where you said there aren't too many roster spots. I think that you can look at this roster and you can look at opportunities that exist at the bottom of the depth chart, not for every position.
Right.
Okay. Like, I mean, running back, no. Like, I don't think there's, even if you really like a guy in the 7th round, like, use that pick to move up to get a guy at a different position rather than drafting another running back like a Jamar
Craig
Jefferson.
Reynolds competition.
Yeah. But like there's room for like a tight end 3 on this team. Like,
sure.
I don't think that there's necessarily a tight end 3 on this team. Obviously, wide receiver goes without saying. You want to draft a safety? Yeah, there's Brian Branch and Kirby Joseph, and I know they like Lauren Strickland, but I mean,
Yep.
is Maurice Norris not incapable of being outplayed by a rookie? I, there's that discussion to be had at linebacker, right? You want to talk about a long-term need,
Long-term need.
but
Short-term,
but
not.
also like how sure are we that Malcolm Rodriguez is going to be absolutely ready by day one?
Yeah, but a day 3 linebacker isn't going to take that spot. You'll give it to like the 80 billion. I mean, how many linebackers do they need?
I like Grant Stewart.
Yes.
Anthony Pittman's
Yes.
cool, but I don't think Anthony Pittman like can't be outplayed by a a rookie linebacker. Like I'm just saying that there's room for like if you want to move back and you want to have more picks and you want to have bites at the apple because you want to create maybe contingency plans or you really like a developmental guy. I'm cool with that, which is
Sure.
kind of I think something that I'm not saying that you're totally against it, but like last year, I think if there's one part of Brad Holmes' strategy that you weren't crazy about, it was moving up for Vaki and moving
Right.
up for Giovanni, where it's like, oh wow, like you traded like a future third round pick to move up and take a developmental tackle.
Right.
But it's also like it's his MO. It's Broderick Martin. Like
Yep.
it's moving up for like a guy that you like at the cost of something.
Yep.
And it's like, well, why not just like take a couple guys? Because you
got to get
you have
cheaper
room on this roster. Yes,
there
you
is
have to
room,
get-
and that's kind of the argument for the quantity version is you need to start saving money. You need to start gathering guys on rookie contracts so that when you pay Aiden Hutchinson, when you maybe pay Jamison Williams, when you pay some of these other guys, you're going to need cheap contracts to offset them. And I don't know how long they can do this. Like, let me just sign all these 1-year vet minimum guys in free agency and have those guys fill all the roster spots.
Or as Sweaty Doofus says, Broderick Martin, wide receiver. If there's a position change to be
Yes.
had, Chris.
There you go.
Hey, we haven't taken this far enough. Colby Sorsdahl, wide receiver.
He's got to figure out something to do on the team.
I know. All right. What I actually have 3 of these guys. So one ideal pick would be the best possible value. So I want some names and I want some rounds. I know this is some wish casting going on, especially as we get probably a lot of these are going to be day 2 and day 3, Jeremy.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, it can be someone we've talked about in one of our positional podcasts. It can be I've got some of those, and I've got some new names for myself. So, what are you thinking? What do you got?
Mine is the one that I put in the rundown as an example. I just did the defensive tackle preview for Pride of Detroit a day or two ago, and I started to fall a little bit with Nebraska's defensive tackle Ty Robinson, and he was a really high scorer on the grid index. And if you're not familiar with the grid index, go to pridedetroit.com right now. It's basically a football character metric. This guy, exactly. Why not? Matt Rule was like the biggest fan of this guy. You can see the effort on the field. And to me, like he's such a like an interesting, this is a weird thing to say about it, but he's just an interesting shaped guy. He's 6'5", but 288 defensive tackle. He's tall as hell, but kind of lean. Like, and one of the most athletic defensive tackles in the class at 6'5". And so the biggest problem with him is leverage, because he's 6'5". Pad level becomes an issue, but he is so explosive. He is so tenacious that I think some of the pad level stuff he's able to overcome just by sheer will. And I don't know, like to me, it screams like we're going to take a chance on this guy. He's going to be part of our defensive tackle rotation because he's just so physical and gritty, and he's got interesting physical tools, even if it's not exactly, the prototype of what they're looking for necessarily. And his production also, like, he got better. He had 12 tackles for loss from 2021 to 2023, 3 seasons worth of starter. Last year, 12.5 by himself, 7 sacks, 4 passes defended. Like, extremely productive season. And so when I see a guy on an upward trajectory like that, plus he's, a coach's best friend, plus he's got some interesting physical tools, I think that's exactly the kind of value that you're looking for on early day 3. Maybe late, like he could be 102. It would not be surprised. I would not be surprised if he's picked 102 for the Lions.
Who's yours, Chris?
So I've got two. I talked about this. The first one I talked a little bit about on our linebacker episode, but I didn't really mention him too much because I was trying to get to another guy. But Notre Dame's Jack Kaiser, if you could get him as like a day 3 guy, not only you'll add, our favorite thing with linebackers are special teams. I think it's why I mentioned Smile Munden Jr. on that podcast as well. But I feel like Kaiser's definitely like one of those picks that could be really interesting. Again, the problem with him is going to be the age, 25 when he comes into the NFL. But I do think that what you would get with him, with the Iron Man, with the work ethic, with how much he played at Notre Dame, the willingness to do special teams, that all screams Dan Campbell guy. But I want to bring up one name that I don't even think we've talked about, even in our defensive tackle episode. And I feel bad that I didn't do this because usually I'm Mr. Mac, I'm Mr. Toledo, and that would be Toledo's Darius Alexander. I think Brugler had him projected like 7th overall among defensive tackles. Like, if you could get him as like an early day 3, late day 2 guy, someone who's just really long. Again, kind of, he's going to be close to 25 coming into League 2 because I think it's going to be the case of a lot of these guys, Ryan. It's just, we're coming out of this tail end of the COVID eligibility years that kept a lot of guys in college. But Darius is fantastic. I know he led Toledo in like pressures for 2 years, and then the Senior Bowl, really showed up at the Senior Bowl and did fairly well. Again, the sack numbers aren't there, but I think we talked a little bit when we were talking about Shamar Stewart, why that's kind of like, all right, if you're just looking at sacks, you're not seeing the full picture.
Mm-hmm.
And that was that. We were talking about that with the edge with Shamar, whereas Darius Alexander's interior, and he'd give you pressure up the middle. He'd do all these kind of things. He's a really good run defender, very fluid. And I really do think that if you're looking for a guy, I mean, he's not going to take anyone's spot on here, but I do think if there is an immediate kind of weird short-term need that has to then turn into a depth need, defensive tackle seems like where it is. And at that late in the draft, I'm not concerned about giving up the capital on him. So yeah, if Darius Alexander's there near the end of day 2, or early day 3, I'm all for it.
Okay, that's fair. I got one guy that I'll stump for, and we talked about him when we talked about skill position players, but I want Alec Iomanor. I want him. Want him real bad. And if you get him at 102,
that'd be great.
That'd be great. The thing that's interesting about wide receiver, though, is like Brugler has him as like wide receiver 11, but there's so many guys that are fringe first round. And then there's a ton in the second and the third round. It's like there's a bunch of wide receivers. Pick your flavor. Field Yates had him at 72 in his final rankings. PFF is super high on him. They have him at number 34 on their big board. And like I said, Brugler has him at 90. So, like, yeah, by definition, if the Lions were to have a chance to get him at 102, that would be fantastic. He's a guy that I wouldn't mind if you take 102 and you move up. The requisite picks to go up and grab him. I just think that I would love for there to be a contingency plan post Tim Patrick.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want to keep on coming back to it. We talked about it in the break, but like, I don't want a contingency plan post JMO. I want a contingency plan post Tim Patrick because this football team's really good right now.
Mm-hmm.
I love Tim Patrick this year. I don't know if you can trust that Tim Patrick's going to come back for another season, right? Like, I think you just want to get younger at that specific wide receiver X spot. And Alec Iomanor, like, I mean, 4.44. Like, I love all the. I mean, I love the prospect though.
Yeah.
And I hope that it's like David Shaw just plays a part in getting him here. I think that'd be such a cool thing to happen.
I think
beyond the football player, I mean.
Right. And I think I think the Lions are going to be higher on him than a lot of other teams are going to be.
Could be true. Yeah.
Because he fits to a T what they want to do at the X. He's a willing blocker. I think he creates separation at the stem of his route, does a lot of his work over the middle of the field. Definitely an extremely high character guy, and they're going to know it because of that connection at Stanford. I know some people are concerned about like the drop rate. In general, drop rate tends to be a little finicky. I'm not that concerned about it.
Well, hey, J-Mo he had a drop rate that was better than any of the other guys who got drafted ahead of him. Look how that worked out at the beginning.
Right. Exactly. Finicky, right?
Yeah.
Sometimes you have to get in touch with your quarterback, right? Sometimes it's more of a chemistry with your quarterback thing than it is a concentration thing. So,
I'd be cool with him at 62 though.
I think it's probably more likely that you'd have to take him at 60, but I'm just taking a stab here, right? Like everyone says, "Oh, there's no way he's at 102," and then he's at 102. But yeah, I'm with you there. I like a lot.
All right. One popular prospect you do not understand the hype for. Let's put on the hater hats right now. Doesn't even need to be anyone in the Lions range.
Don't put it that way, because I'm going to seem like a homer.
Oh, come on. Wait. Oh, so your objection is to my second part I said.
Saying that I don't want to be a hater here, but I don't get the Jack Sawyer stuff. Like I understand, like, grit wise, he's got.
No, now you're just a Michigan homer.
That's what I'm saying. Yes.
Okay.
I thought you were going to say something about Derek Harmon, and I was like, how dare you?
No.
How dare you?
But I get, like, and some, he has such high football character that he might end up being the pick at 60. It wouldn't shock me. But I did not fall in love with the guy's tape. Like, I don't think he has natural pass rushing abilities. I don't think he has the instincts. He doesn't have the bend. He has the will. He has the determination. Again, he has all of the character, all the
Dan Campbellisms.
All the Dan Campbellisms.
So much determination, though.
I don't know. I almost feel like I'd rather have him as an off ball than a pass rusher, because like he does have some football instincts that I think would play well. I think he can run downhill and be pretty good in the run game, but like I don't think I really want him on the edge. Maybe he's your Sam. He's a little big for the Sam position, but like I don't know. I'm just
I don't know if you want him ever dropping back in coverage though, and that's
probably not.
What they kind of tinkered around with the
right.
Sam position. You know what I mean?
Right. I don't know. I don't see it with him as much as in a draft full of guys that I do love at edge. He's just much lower on my list than he seems to be on other people's list.
Would that be an F draft for you?
No, I'm not.
With pick 28,
I'm not
the Detroit
confident.
Lions select Jack Sawyer.
Okay, well maybe. I'm not confident enough in my own scouting abilities to say that, but it's just sure. my personal preference here is I hope he's not the pick at 28 or 60.
Go ahead, Chris.
All right. Okay. This is actually, I'm glad you gave me this because I'm going to go off a little bit we were talking about during the break. And I know I'm kind of throwing a bit of a torch into a little bit of match onto the gasoline, but are we sure Gray Zabel is the guard prospect you want to be keying in on? We were not recording. I mean, we were recording for Scrap, so I don't think we were recording for PODcast. We were talking about kind of, Ryan, the kind of bump that North Dakota State players have gotten across like the last 6-7 years of 10 years of drafting, and how it's kind of been a bit of a checkered history in that regard. And I look at some of the notes I know Dane Brugler wrote about Gray Zabel, about, you know, that he's kind of light, it's lack of ideal arm length, and he's a lean body type, and I'm like, is this just gonna be another North Dakota situation again? I know
we're
I'm
fighting now. We're fighting now, Chris.
I know,
no.
but like,
the scouting the helmet people are coming for you, Chris.
but like that's, I'm not trying to do the scouting helmet thing. I mean, yeah. I'm really not. I'm really not.
There are some concerns. I mean, like
there are some concerns, but I feel like, again, like I don't know, because I've seen some people starting to put this guy above like Tyler Booker, And I'm not sure why you would put Gray Zabel above Tyler Booker if you're ranking guards, other than the fact that a lot of people seem to apparently think that he's like a center now. And so we're just putting him as center one, even though he's barely played any center, Jeremy.
Well, I think that's the thing is that you have a guy like Zabel, and the craziest thing is that he just shows up to the Senior Bowl, and he plays center, and it's like, oh, he's the number one center on the board. It's like, well, hold on, like
He doesn't have a real rep at it.
This guy take any real snaps at center other than the Senior Bowl, and it's like that seems kind of like, would you do this with any other FCS prospect?
His tape is just, it's so much fun, but you always have to pull yourself back. And it's not a North Dakota State thing. It's a small school thing. It's the fact
an
that
FCS thing. Yeah.
Yes. He hasn't played high competition much at all in his entire career. And you have to be careful with that. I still love him enough that I think I see enough core traits. I think I see enough in terms of personality when we talked at the combine. Like, I love him so much. And but I do think there might be a little bit of overhype. I do think you can convince yourself to fall in love with small school prospects just based on tape of him destroying players who aren't ever going to play in the NFL.
I mean, if you gave me the option right now between Tyler Booker, Gray Zabel, I'd be taking Tyler Booker every time. That's just where I am. Like, so I guess, but I've heard some people putting him above Tyler Booker. And again, that just doesn't make sense to me, talking about a guard who played at Alabama. And again, I'm not sticker, but like, that's the competition that Tyler Booker was playing against. And we talk, you can talk about his character, but like, hey, man, Jeremy, you got the legal assault line out of Tyler Booker.
Yeah, man, like, those are both guys that are going to be beloved by the Lions coaching staff in terms of their character. I think the question is fit if you want to have the Booker versus Zabel debate, because the big slam on Booker is the athleticism, and Eric and I have talked about this a couple times on the midweek. I'll reiterate it again. If he's going to play right guard in Detroit, I think he'll be just fine. Tyler Booker we're talking about here, not Zabel.
Yeah.
Because he's not that athletic, because he's a guy that you really don't want to put on the move a lot. But the Lions do that more with their left guard than their right guard. The right guard is a big, powerful, strong guy. And I mentioned it on the midweek mailbag. I'll mention it again. You're concerned about Tyler Booker's 5.38, right? It's 5.38 48 time. That's terrible. It's bad. I'll throw this one to you, Ryan. Do you know what Kevin Zeitler's 40 time was 10 years ago when he ran it?
I'm guessing it was in the 5.3s, Jeremy.
It was a 5.39. It was one more.
Oh,
and so
so Booker's faster.
It was one more. It was one more slower.
But
also, like Booker's primarily played left guard at Alabama, who's run heavy and RPO heavy.
Yes.
Like I
think you can make it work. It's not a perfect fit, and I'm sure they would love to have someone with Tyler Booker's size and voraciousness, and someone that could also, get on the move a little bit. But you got Penei Sewell on that side. You've got Frank Ragnow on that side. They can move. They can get out in front of the runner themselves, while you got Tyler Booker just destroying a defensive tackle in front of him.
Yeah.
Ryan, bring some hate.
Will Johnson. I don't get it.
Okay.
Jeff Okuda.
Oh boy, we're doing that.
Oh wow.
We're doing these slow, don't draft slow corners.
No, I think I'm doing I think he's really good at a lot of things. I don't know if there's anything where I'm like, wow, he's like can't miss, great prospect. That's my thing. And like if he slips to 28 and the Lions take him, I'm going back to that F grade. I don't care. Like, I don't care if I get body slammed by Brad Holmes in a press conference.
You might get body slammed by Eric for that too, honestly. He won't let you publish anything that says it's an F pick. He's going to jump through his computer and retype the whole entire story.
When we have a discussion, when we have a discussion with Nick Baumgardner and he goes, I mean, I don't really know why he didn't play in 2024 other than the fact that he didn't want to play for a bad football team. Is that a Dan Campbell player? Is a guy who
stop giving out the stuff for free here, right? This is premium content you're talking about.
Is according to Dane Brugler's weaknesses, where it brings up made some business decisions and put poor tackling attempts on his 2024 film.
Yeah.
Hold on a second.
Okay.
Hold on a
You're
second,
making,
brother.
You're making a case. I'm not gonna lie. You're making a case.
Hold on a
Hold
second,
on,
brother. You
before
got little too much dip on your chip.
Before we get too far away from this, before we go, just chat, and I usually don't try bringing up chat on the main POD cast, but Jeff Okuda at wide receiver.
They had their chance.
Is he going to play wide receiver in Minnesota? That's where he's at now, right? Just him and Justin Jefferson lining up side by side.
What happened to Addison in this situation?
I mean, he's
Another
going to get suspended.
Again?
He hasn't gotten suspended yet. He will.
How much further does he got to take it to get suspended, do you think? 'Cause I feel like you've given the NFL everything.
As far as the geolocation, as long as he gambles on in grounds, he doesn't have to go too far.
If you got in a car accident and left the scene within a 10-mile radius of the team facility, it's more illegal.
Oh, is that it?
Yeah, that's right.
All right. Yeah. No Will Johnson.
All right.
We're done with Will Johnson.
Let's move on. We got a couple more here. Something surprising you could see the Lions do.
Draft Will Johnson. No.
God damn it.
You want to start this
Day
one,
three
Ryan?
quarter-
I'll let you take it first.
Oh, okay. I was going to lean in and throw a bomb, but sure.
Go for it.
Day 3 quarterback.
Why?
The Kyle
What?
McCord files.
Why evoke Jake Rudock and Brad Kaya's ghost?
God.
Did either of them play at Syracuse? I don't think so.
What's the rationale? What are you looking for in a day 3 quarterback? If you're the Detroit Lions?
Someone to push Hendon Hooker, and I don't trust Kyle Allen.
I wish that we could just
What
accept
about Jake
Hendon-
Fromm? Everyone forgets about Jake Fromm.
Anyway.
Anyway.
Yeah,
I wish we could just accept Hendon Hooker for who he was when he was drafted. The Lions wanted to be absolutely sure about Jared Goff, so they drafted Hendon Hooker.
You don't think there was
Jared Goff ended up playing his way into a contract. Hendon Hooker no longer needed.
He's their backup. What is wrong with having a backup that you can trust?
Just call Teddy Bridgewater next year. It's
Stop
fine.
it.
Everything's okay.
At some
He's gonna be
point,
busy leading his high school team to another state champion.
How many? I mean, if we go bat for bat, if we go eye for eye, if we look at plays per game where a touchdown resulted in that NFC divisional round.
okay, stop this. I'm stopping you right now.
Teddy Bridgewater is blowing Goff out of the water.
At some point, Teddy's not going to pick up that phone. At some point, they tried to count him out, and he didn't pick up the phone. Whatever that.
It just sounds to me like there's one trade you got to make like before the season begins. It's the one trade I know Ryan's up on, and to be honest, you could probably have him for cheap. I want to really start a quarterback controversy in Detroit.
I'm going to punch you.
Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, that's honestly what I thought you were referencing. It's only $10 million. The Lions, I got a lot of cap space. He only wants to play for $10 million.
I was talking to Ryan.
Who?
Willis. Malik.
Stop. My heart couldn't handle it. Do you know how annoyed you guys would get with me by like?
Yes,
I know.
I do. I do.
August 20th.
I know.
Every single time he takes the field, I see your Twitter account. I know how annoying you'd be.
Okay, hold on a second. I haven't been posting on Twitter in a minute, but also I get tagged every time Malik Willis takes it. By you.
It's true.
No. Okay, I do sometimes. You're right.
Sometimes. Yeah. True. It's true. Something
right.
surprising you could see the Lions do, Jeremy.
I mean, I could see them taking an offensive tackle relatively early. I could see them, and I mean, in an ideal world, it's someone with guard flexibility so that you can potentially maybe start him early and kick him out. We've talked a little bit about that possibility with someone like Kelvin Banks from Texas. But
Are you giving away subscriber content now?
Maybe. Eric has talked about that.
Also
I mean,
blame
it
Eric.
was Nick's original idea. Nick Baumgartner, who, by the way, did a podcast with us, available on Pride of Detroit Direct, prideofdetroit.com/subscribe if you want to see it. But yeah, I mean, it's a premier position. The problem is like this year's class isn't great, so you'd probably have to do it at 28 or 60. Other than that, like there's not a ton of point, I would say, in drafting a late day 2, early day 3 offensive tackle, because you already have a couple guys that you're like, hey, I wonder if these guys could eventually be our OT3. We don't need another one of those, but like I like the Banks, Josh Simmons maybe if I can get a little Ohio State cred back. But again, like in an ideal world, these are guys, and both those guys play a little guard early and then eventually be your left tackle of the future. And maybe this fits in with everyone thinks I'm trying to push. I'm the latest guy to try to push Taylor Decker off the roster, but again, like this team is going to have to start looking for ways to save money, and Taylor Decker's contract is relatively high for the next three seasons, I think, and he's getting up there. I think his play is still worth it, but if you're looking for places where you cut cash, like you could trade away Taylor Decker as soon as next year, not this year, next year, and recoup some capital, get younger at the position, and save some money.
I'll keep mine short, sweet, and simple. Drafting a cornerback at 28, like that's something surprising that I could definitely see them do.
And you would give them an F.
Thing. Well, if it's Will Johnson, yes.
But not so much if it's
Maxwell Harrison, why not? Dane
small.
Brugler said it was good.
It's too. I don't even think it's a good fit though.
No, you know what? Let me expand it. Something surprising, not just corner but safety. Like, what if Malachi Starks is there at 28?
Yeah,
like
Malachi is very much, I think, on the board, but it would be relatively shocking,
need.
Right?
Yeah,
because you're about to. I mean, again, this is something I talked a little bit with Eric about. Like, Brad Holmes has talked all offseason like he is ready to sign the paper for Kirby Joseph.
Yeah,
if they go,
he's just busy hunting deer down in Florida.
Does that change immediately if you draft one? If you draft Malachi Starks, if you draft Nick Emanuari,
again, we talked about it during the break, but I mean, it's the same thing with like if the Lions take a wide receiver early, it like gives you leverage.
Yeah.
All right.
Do you think quick? Do you think there's any shot that they draft a safety and say, "Okay, we're gonna roll with you and Kirby," and put Branch on the block?
What does that say about Rakestraw?
Rakestraw is the wild card in every situation. You can trace everything back to what's the deal with Rakestraw.
Yeah. Chris, what's one thing you think you know about the Lions 2025 NFL draft?
That I'm gonna sit back with the popcorn and enjoy.
Take Brad Holmes' advice, huh?
Yeah. Yeah, when we get to that night, listen, man, I'm going to have a shaker full of Mai Tais. I'm going to have the stream up and just bullshitting with the Pride of Detroit universe.
Okay, plug it. Tell the people.
Yes. So twitch.tv/Pride of Detroit, and I think we'll have it up on youtube.com/@Pride of Detroit as well. Jeremy's got to give me power to ban trolls if I'm going to go over to YouTube, which I don't know if he wants to give me that power yet, but...
We'll see.
Either way, we'll be live on the socials for the draft for the first 2 nights. I cannot do night 3, unfortunately, but we will probably take you up to around midnight, maybe a little bit past midnight on both nights. I will be hosting the streams. Jeremy, Ryan, and others might be in and out. We're all very busy at the rest of everyone else is very busy on the website writing, but you can usually expect more than a few guests and friends to jump in. I like to extend invites out to Kentley Platty every year to try to get him in. John Whitaker, I know, has been kind of like chomping at the bit to do some stuff. So we'll just throw the invites out. We'll see who comes through, and we'll just keep you busy. And we'll, I like the draft because I like also talking about a lot of other teams as well too. So there's plenty to talk about. And I don't know, I might set up like a drinking game or something, but I do have to go to work early that next day, so maybe not.
It'll probably also serve a little bit as a Detroit Pistons Game 3 watch party, I would imagine.
Oh, God, that's right.
We wait.
God. Oh, God.
So if that interests you, it's probably going to be a little bit of both. Because, I mean, listen, it's going to be a really exciting night in Detroit.
I'm going to have the multi-view on. Trust me. Big trust.
And we're more than likely going to be sitting on our hands for a lot of Thursday night if you're a Detroit Lions fan.
Maybe the entire night.
It's possible. That would be kind of funny. Bad for the site, bad for Pride of Detroit Direct, but maybe good for the team. Which brings me.
No, hey, I've got the pre-write for the best day 2 prospect still available, so that'd be phenomenal for me.
There you go. The one thing I think I know is that the Detroit Lions are going to have a consensus draft grade from national outlets in the bottom 10. And that doesn't mean they're actually going to have a bad draft. Let me be clear on that. I think the national narrative on the draft is that it's going to be bad. And I think part of that is just they have late draft picks. They don't have a ton of draft capital. They tend to, I mean, when you look at draft grades, it's like, oh, the guys with 7 picks in the top 100 were number 1. Wow, a really cool grading scale. I think Brad Holmes is prone to do unpredictable things that don't go against the normal consensus. That tends to bring in low grades. And so, if he goes out there and he drafts an offensive tackle at 28 instead of an edge rusher that everyone thinks should be off the board already, that's going to garner national attention and negativity. But I think we've learned enough about both draft grades and Brad Holmes that I hope we've grown up enough to understand that bad draft grades, even our own opinions of the draft class, probably definitely don't matter as much as what Brad Holmes thinks and what the Lions eventually do with those guys.
Well, the one thing I think I know, kicking it back to an article that Jeremy and I wrote before the 2017 NFL draft, where we provided eight bold predictions for Detroit, where I kicked things off saying Detroit will draft a wide receiver before the end of round 4, which Jeremy has continuously made fun about me because it wasn't a bold prediction at all whatsoever. And I'm pretty sure that was also the draft where they took Kenny Golladay. So bold prediction delivered. I'm gonna say the one thing I think I know is that the Lions take a wide receiver on before day 3. That's the one thing I think I know. I think that there's just too many prospects between in that round 2 to 3 grade. And then it seems like there's a little bit of a fall off once you get past like the guys that are in that range to like, all right, these guys seem like they're like one-trick ponies. I don't think that the Lions are looking for a one-trick pony. Like they're looking for a football player that fits a very specific skill set. I mean, the only other guy that I would really like would be like we talked about Illinois' Pat Bryant, who fits the X role. But I don't know. I think that they just want to have a contingency plan in place, and I think that wide receiver is a sneaky. It's going to happen. It's going to happen on day 1 or day 2.
I feel I'm fearful that you're putting all of your emotional eggs in the Alec Iomanor basket here.
No, that's happening for sure. And I'm also like confusing one thing I think I know with a bold prediction. So
well, we like to go bold on the one thing we think we know.
I know. See, I'm just rusty from not doing it for a while. And this isn't first bite. None of this feels right. Chris, can you shut this thing down?
Yeah. No, we're way overboard, so let's get out of here. For myself, Ryan Matthews, Jeremy Reisman, join us on draft night. We'll have plenty more coming for you and a quick scraps I'll try to get out over. We've had we have a backlog of scraps. I might, after the draft, do like a super scraps episode, I think is what might happen. Either way, we'll see you Starside. Please stop recording.
Recording in progress.
Oh, on and off, baby.
Recording stopped.
There it is. I wasn't trying to hit the stop, not the cheese.
Overboard like a young Goldie Hawn.
What?
Chicken jockey. Mighty too hottie, how dare you? Ryan going as bold as Taco Bell hot sauce.
Which one?
Yeah, like if you were to say mild sauce, then I think that hurts even more.
I pulled up this 2017 article, and now I need to pull up the Lions 2017 draft to see how close we were to all these.
Did you find the article?
I did.
I liked my possible targets. I put Cooper Kupp in there. I feel good about that.
Yeah. All right. So my first prediction was Lions' first pick will be an offensive skill player. I don't think that was right. It was Jared Davis. So I was wrong, but I was right, like they should have. So I'm going to say I'm right.
Number one was the Lions. Wait.
The Lions' first pick will be an offensive skill player.
Yeah.
It was Jared Davis. So I'm right that it should have been an offensive skill player.
Okay.
Your first prediction was...
And it should have been John Ross. One of your possible targets.
No comment. David Njoku was another one. Certainly better than Michael Roberts. Their fourth round pick.
You were just clamoring for that Eric Ebron, David Njoku tandem.
Right. And you said the Lions would draft a wide receiver before the end of round 4. Round 3 pick, Kenny Golladay. Lions will trade a player on draft day. I don't think they did that. That was a bold prediction.
Your dark horse candidates, though, make me understand your David Njoku stance.
Eric Ebron.
Joe Dahl. Good job, Joe Dahl.
Jake Rudock, and the boldest of bold, Theo Riddick.
Theo Riddick.
Interesting. Your second prediction: Detroit will trade up at some point in the draft. Yeah, that is Taco Bell mild sauce. Bold. I don't know if they did or didn't. I'm not going to look into whether they did or didn't.
Hey, but what about my possible target? I had a whole paragraph there talking about Charles Harris. That eventually came to fruition.
That doesn't count when it's a different coaching staff. They
also
brought him aboard.
Look, 2 of those 3 players were NFL contributors.
Sure. Solomon Thomas, Hassan Reddick, Jonathan Allen.
And Solomon Thomas brought us Mitch Trubisky in a way. You know?
Yeah. My third prediction, a defensive tackle will be taken before a defensive end. Turned out to be right. They took Jeremiah Ledbetter before they took Pat O'Connor.
Jeremiah Ledbetter is still kicking around the league, isn't he?
I think so. Both of them are. Good for them.
There you go.
But that was a draft in which I think a lot of people wanted an edge rusher early and did not get it. Pretty much every draft ever. At least 5 of the Lions' 8 draft picks will be on defense, says Ryan. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 out of I think what it turned out to be a 9-person draft. I'll allow it. But 5 of 8 is one more than half. So I think again we're like,
Hey, not very bold when the very first prediction that you threw up was, the first pick's going to be an offensive skill player. Clearly had some needs on offense. Look at your prediction number 4. Jabril Peppers gets selected before Taco Charlton. Did that happen?
I don't know. 2017 NFL draft.
Oh, God. I don't want to go back that far. Holy shit.
28.
Jabril Peppers was 25th overall. Taco Charlton was 28.
28.
Woo!
I liked me some Taco Charlton.
I kind of did too.
I like me some tacos.
Yeah, I think that was it, Chris.
What's that?
I think that was it. It's just like seeing the name Taco. Chaco Tacos.
It is the last Friday of Lent, so I can't partake. Oh, it's not even. So there's like a California fish grill near me, and they do a really good Taco Tuesday for like fish and shrimp tacos for like $3, but it's not Tuesday.
That's unfortunate.
I do have some tuna. I was just going to sear it, but now you got me thinking about fish tacos, and I might just pick them up anyway. Their fish tacos and shrimp tacos are really good. They got these Cajun ones. They're just...
Ooh. Yeah, now I want tacos tonight. I'm going to get tacos tonight.
My
Jeremy.
food's going to be better than that.
I did say that at least 5 of the 8 Lions draft picks will be on defense, and I also listed 2 possible targets that ended up on the team. I'm sorry. Yes, Tease Tabor was one of them.
Jeez.
It's true. Yeah, Jared Davis and Tease Tabor.
Did the Lions draft a running back?
They did not. But
Bang!
But
Remember those
That-
few years we
that
had
year-
where there was always like a running back in the second round?
that year,
Yeah.
their leading rusher had 552 yards.
Or Kerryon Johnson?
The offensive
Amir
line was the
Abdullah.
problem. The offensive line was the problem.
They should have traded Theo Riddick because he had 286 of them. And
How dare you? He was never a running back.
Amir Abdullah had 552, Theo Riddick 286, Tion Green 165, and their fourth leading rusher was a guy named Matthew Stafford. That's how bad the running game was that year.
That running back
Weedle
class
Stafford.
was actually pretty good.
Amir Abdullah 3.3 yards per carry, Theo Riddick 3.4 yards per carry, Tion Green 3.9 yards per carry.
And I quote, Dalvin Cook in the first round is too risky given medicals, and you can't thump for Dalvin Cook if you think Abdullah is injury prone. That was a good draft for running backs. I mean, Cook, Kareem Hunt, James Conner.
When did James Conner actually go? Because you say there's no shot he's available at 85. Was he?
When did he get drafted?
I'm trying to see.
105.
105!
No shot.
No shot.
Well, hold on. That sentence becomes different when you say likely.
That's true. They're likely no. Where did Samaje he ran 114, so he also was available at 85.
Look, all I'm saying is that if Chris, Andrew, Alex, and myself were to have handled that draft instead of Bob Quinn, Lions would have never traded Matthew Stafford. They would have won a Super Bowl.
Well, no, they still would have drafted Tease Tabor, though.
That's okay.
Because you included Alex in that.
I think we all love the Jared Davis pick too. We're just like, yeah, man, this is awesome. They got everything fixed.
Defense, baby. We're going to be such a gritty team.
I am glad I was kind of going back through school around the time of the Oh no, wait, no, I would have been just done with USC. I don't even remember what my excuse was. Oh, right, I was doing overnights or something. So everything from that time is just such a blur to me.
I like this.
Not that I've ever been good with memories, but
I like this idea that all of the mistakes the Lions made in that era got them to where they are today, so they were worth it. Drafting Tease Tabor was worth it because it eventually got rid of...
It's an acceptable cope. It's an acceptable cope.
No, that's the worst cope. Yeah. Sprague in chat, God bless the broken road that led us straight to Junior
Right.
Gibbs.
That's what I'm talking about.
Hey man, Amir Abdullah is still playing in the league. God bless him.
Kerryon Johnson
do
is
love
still a Lions fan.
He is.
Online.
I know.
He's like an Eastern
man did not let
Carolina running
anything
back
dampen his-
coach or something.
What's yeah?
No,
It's like a-
East Tennessee. I think East or West or
Who?
North or South Tennessee. Carry on. He's a coach for them.
No, I thought it was high school. I thought he's a high school coach. Is he in college now?
I think so. I want to say East Tennessee. That's my guess.
East Tennessee State
That counts.
University, running's back coach.
Nailed it.
Real quick though, if you just look at the 2017 class for the Saints,
Yeah.
is that class better or worse than the 2023 class for the Detroit Lions?
Okay, let's run through it.
Oh boy. Let's see. Saints, where are you? Saints, NFL team.
What is Pro Football References?
So
Shorthand for them.
let me run through. The
Okay,
Saints
I've
picks.
got them. I've got them all together. If you want
Yeah.
me to.
Sure.
Alex Anzalone.
Whoa, wait, no, hold on. Start with their first round.
Oh,
picks.
start with the. Okay.
Yeah.
Ryan Ramczyk.
You still missed the first pick.
Wait. No, that's okay. I'm sorry. My ordering. I'm looking at a whole list, so I
Oh,
hit to
gotcha.
order by team, so it hasn't ordered. Okay, let me try this from the top then.
I didn't realize who
Marsh-
the last pick was, but yeah, go ahead.
I was gonna bring him up. I see exactly what you're talking about.
Yeah.
Marshawn Lattimore.
Yeah.
Pretty good. Not so much
Okay,
anymore. but
now
it was pretty
Ryan
good.
Ramczyk. Now
Okay.
Ryan Ramczyk. I
Just
have that
retired,
right.
but he was great.
Marcus Williams.
Productive.
Alvin Kamara,
He's pretty good.
Alex Anzalone.
Not too bad.
Not too bad at all. Then there's a bit of a gap, and like they have no picks.
Nope, you missed one.
Oh,
a pretty important one.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Just outside the top 100, Trey Hendrickson.
He's all right.
Not bad. And then they don't have a pick until the 6th round, where they take someone named Al Qadim Muhammad.
All respects to Mr. Muhammad.
That is a
Kinda
wild
got
draft
buried
class.
in this draft class.
That's
wild.
The one caveat is that this is a draft class with 2 1s, a second, and 3 3s. So you have a lot of draft capital, but you nailed.
It's a top heavy. Yeah.
You went 6 for 6 on those picks.
Like 6 for 6, and maybe the best player you got was the 6 out of 6.
Right. Trey Hendrickson at 103.
The other thing too, though, you know how they got pick 32 and 103?
Nope.
They traded Brandon Cooks to the New England Patriots.
Oh, that's right. God, yes. Yeah.
So this is a check mark in the you should trade Jameson Williams. That's what you're saying?
Of course you would draw that conclusion, Mr. Run JMO out of town. But is this draft class better than, I mean, we only have a couple of seasons, but like the
Yes,
2023 draft class?
It is. So far, it is. I think it's undeniably better.
Do you think Jahmyr Gibbs can be a better version of Alvin Kamara?
Yes.
Yeah.
He already has a better season than Alvin Kamara ever has.
Mm-hmm. Do you think that Sam Laporta's ceiling is higher than what? I don't want to poo-poo on Marcus Williams because he was a productive defensive back for quite a long time in the league. But like Sam Laporta, you know what? Just do 1-to-1.
You hate Sam
Because
Laporta. You want them to get rid of him.
Wasn't Brian Branch drafted at was it like 45? It was like right in the 40s, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
Boom, 1-to-1. Brian Branch or Marcus Williams. I don't know. Some interesting parallels.
Yeah.
Jack Campbell or Alex Anzalone. I don't know. They're on the same team now. That's friendly fire.
Yeah. Does the Broderick Martin pick just ruin everything? Does the Hendon Hooker pick ruin everything?
Oh man,
everyone
that's
hates
true.
the Hendon Hooker pick now.
If Hendon Hooker was brought on this roster so that the Lions could continuously keep calling Teddy Bridgewater to come back, I think that it's a slam dunk. If it brings you Teddy Bridgewater every year, it was worth it was worth it.
Stop it. A couple more alerts, and then I think I gotta consider start getting out of here and getting ready for dinner tonight. MGO Cork, thank you for the 48 months. 4 freaking years subscribed to us on Twitch. Appreciate that. And Lambon's Builder, 25 months subscribed. That's just over 2 years. Appreciate you both. Which is also a good reminder, even if you're over on YouTube, you can help support the Pride of Detroit cast, the Pride of Detroit YouTube page, the Pride of Detroit Twitch page, by going over to Twitch, creating a free account. Doesn't cost you a thing. You don't have to give a lot of information. I think it's literally just your name and your email address. If you have Amazon Prime, you link it to your Twitch account, and you just go over to the little connections tab, connect it. They will allow you to subscribe to us for free, which means like an actual like financial contribution to us. Doesn't cost you a thing, but we get a little kickback for it. Something that I wish YouTube would do, because we know there are ways that you guys would love to support us over on YouTube, but maybe you aren't financially in a spot to do that, to subscribe $5 a month, 6 months. I mean, that's not cheap. That's a lot in a year. But you can do it on Twitch for free, presuming that you have already become an Amazon Prime member. So if you're always like wondering, hey, how can I support a free website like Pride of Detroit, a free podcast like Pride of Detroit, a free YouTube page, Twitch page? That's a great way to do it.
100%. And just think about it, man. $5 is a lot. At one point, it could get you 5 breakfast sandwiches, but now it can just get you 2.
I can get a free one today.
Is that true? That's how that works?
I think so. In the app, there's a waiting reward for me in the McDonald's app that says, "Hey, free whatever." And I only looked it up once it was lunchtime.
Free whatever.
Well, it's a list. Let me read you the list. And this is a good let's get chat involved moment.
Yeah.
And so it doesn't have it didn't have breakfast options because it wasn't breakfast time.
Mm-hmm.
Rewards and deals. Happy birthday. Your options are cheeseburger.
Power rank these, Chris.
Order.
Cheeseburger.
Oh, well, hold on.
6-piece McNugget. Large iced coffee. McChicken.
Hold on. Oh, iced coffee. Never mind. I was thinking something. So McChicken. Okay.
McChicken. Hot and spicy McChicken. Or a medium fry.
This might be a little controversial, but number one is the spicy McChicken.
I don't think that's controversial.
I think that's what I would pick as well.
Yeah. Number two, medium fry. Number three, regular McChicken. Number four, 6-piece McNugget. Number five, cheeseburger. What am I missing on there?
Large iced coffee.
The iced coffee? Okay,
Yeah.
that's 6.
That's actually going to be my number one.
Ooh.
Is the coffee?
Yeah.
Do they have a good one, or
Really?
you just like iced coffee in
Oh, no,
general?
wait, hold on. Iced coffee. So I've been getting those for breakfast because they have like a bundle deal with the McGriddle. And I do not mind those. Their regular coffee can go fuck itself.
Okay.
But the iced coffee, not bad.
Yeah. So 2 reasons. One, I'm looking for the
It is very cream and sugar heavy though, but yes.
Yeah. I'm looking for the most value, and I think
Okay.
that's the most expensive item there is
Maybe.
that you just listed off. 2, I think I would just end up being most happy with that because like I need that in my day. If I eat any of those other things, I'm going to feel
Yeah.
not
That's fair.
great.
I have
about
been
it.
cutting down on my caffeine intake and like trying to cut it out entirely certain days. So knowing that it's the iced coffee, I'd actually put it above the cheeseburger and the 6-piece McNugget.
I think I'd go 1 coffee, 2 fries, 3 McNuggets.
I've just never been a McNuggets guy.
They're fine, right? To me,
But like I feel like
Dude, but that's why I
when
love
I
the
go to
chicken Big
Wendy's
Mac.
when I go to Wendy's and get their nuggets, I can eat those nuggets without sauce, and I'm perfectly happy with their nuggets. I cannot say the same thing about McNuggets from McDonald's. You have to have sauce with them, or else they are just
agreed.
they're not good.
I can agree to that.
They don't hold a candle to Taco Bell's nuggets. I know that.
Speaking of which,
Oh, what's Taco Bell giving you?
they're only giving me one thing, and I'm curious as to where this would rank if you put it in the McDonald's tier.
All right,
Okay.
let's go. Let's
All
go.
right.
We got to beat. So you got to beat the hot and spicy McChicken for me.
It might be last for me. A free Mountain Dew Baja Blast freeze.
I'm taking
Well,
the
that would excite
cheeseburger
Pete.
from McDonald's.
That might excite Pete Carroll, but not me.
I've never had one of their freezes. I think that's a novelty drink that I don't
they're
enjoy.
Fine. They're whatever. It's like getting.
I'm gonna get on a soapbox here. Ices, freeze,
like a Slurpee.
all those like icy drinks, terrible. Like hey, do you want to drink something cold and have it be more inconvenient because it's definitely gonna give you an ice cream headache? It's gonna taste more like water and less like the actual drink that you want to drink. Here, try
I
an
don't
icy.
even say it tastes more like water. It tastes more like syrup. Like that's my big thing against Slurpees is like every time I've had a Slurpee, because there's always a point, that NPC chip in my brain that's like, I should get the Slurpee. The Slurpee sounds like a great idea. And I have it, and it is the most sickly, syrupy shit I've ever had.
Can I know your opinion on root beer floats then?
Never had them.
They're pretty good.
Don't go for
What?
them.
You're throwing
Never
ice
had
cream
a-
in.
Don't drink them. Don't drink them.
Well, I don't know how much you really drink a root beer float until you get to like the end of it. Maybe.
Where does this land?
What is that?
It's
it
just free
free guac?
guacamole, free guac from Chipotle.
Piss off.
I love guac.
I would see that and I would gladly just go to Qdoba. Is Qdoba
No.
giving you anything?
So I would say this.
I don't have a Qdoba
Forget about
app.
the guac. Forget about the guac. Give me free queso
Nah, I don't like queso. I don't dislike queso, but it's
in a
just like,
burrito.
Chick-fil-A giving us.
But I agree. Go to
I don't know.
Qdoba or Moe's.
Jeremy, I thought you were gonna say the thing from Taco Bell is gonna be Cine Twists, and I was still gonna be like, I'll take the cheeseburger.
What about cheesy Fiesta potatoes?
Okay, that would probably be hovering around the top 3.
Oh, I don't have my birthday in the Chick-fil-A app. Let's see what they give me.
They're gonna be like, you're a liar, and a sinner, and a sinner.
And a sinner. Well, they got that part right. 04-18. Did it work? Hold on.
What about Panda Express?
I definitely don't have a Panda Express app. I don't know if they're going to update this in time to give me a reward. My rewards? You don't have any rewards yet.
For your birthday, you get a free trip to church.
I don't know. I don't. The only other apps I have, I don't think any of them are going to give me anything. Cottage Inn.
Per Chick-fil-A website, what is the birthday reward for each membership tier? Can I change it? There's tiers to the memberships, Jeremy?
I
Yeah,
don't
of
know.
course.
I don't go to Chick-fil-A enough to know that.
Chick-fil-A 1 members will receive their choice of chocolate chunk cookie
Okay. All right.
or chocolate fudge brownie.
Let me see how much a Chick-fil-A 1 membership costs.
Chick-fil-A 1 silver members will receive a dessert variety reward, which allows members to redeem a reward from their choice of a chocolate chunk cookie or a chocolate fudge brownie, small milkshake, small frosted lemonade, small frosted coffee, small ice dream cone, small ice dream cup.
Okay, so this is it's the status, silver red signature status is basically you earn X points per dollar spent.
Yeah, and then you
So to
rank
get
up.
to yeah. So silver, you got to spend at least $100 there. Red, you're spending a minimum of $464. Signature, you have spent $881 at Chick-fil-A.
And that just gets you a choice of entree. No, I don't know. I don't like
There's
it.
a whole website that just tells you all your birthday freebies. Maybe we should just be looking at that.
Oh, really? Oh, of
A&W.
course.
Imagine if
Small
Zaxby's
beer float.
had got any of the love that Chick-fil-A or Raising Cane's had gotten. You could get a birthday cake milkshake.
That's too much. Shakes in general are too much. I got a shake
Really?
at Al Jum's, and it was delicious. It was, I don't even remember what kind it was, but they just make me feel like garbage. Like they are just, it's so much dairy.
yeah.
It's so
No, I
much, so
get
many
it.
calories.
Nicholas, I'll jump through this computer at you.
What do you say?
Trying to barb at
Oh,
Zaxby's. I
Zaxby's.
love Zaxby's. I love their chicken salads.
God, it's been so long since I've been to a Cold Stone Creamery.
What do they?
But that's such a bogus reward. Oh, you get buy one get one free.
Yeah,
So
come
like buy something.
They don't even put pistachios in the ice cream.
I might have to
fake
go to
pistachio ice
Culver's.
cream.
What do they do?
Free scoop of frozen custard with one topping.
Oh, that's not bad.
Hmm.
I found the best one though.
What's
Like
that?
hands down, can't be beat.
Is it a Dairy Queen?
Oh, just kidding. It's a tie now. There's 2. One of them, free slice of cheesecake at Cheesecake Factory.
3?
Oh my god!
No,
A free. Okay,
a
a free. I
free
thought you said
slice.
3. I'm like,
No,
what?
A free slice. A free
Jeremy was
slice.
like, change of plans.
There's one right over in the Galleria where I work. I'm going there, man. I'm going there
Yeah.
on my birthday.
So that is tied with Auntie Anne's. You get a free pretzel.
I don't think I've ever had one.
Auntie Anne's.
Oh, I know what Chris is gonna like. Maybe it's what he's rubbing his hands about right now.
No, I was rubbing it about the Cheesecake Factory.
Oh, Jack in the Box. 2 free tacos.
Oh my God.
$2
that's number one with a
worth.
bullet. We can end the podcast on that.
Can and probably should.
I haven't had those in so fucking long.
That is canon.
All right. Yeah, I do need to start getting ready and probably taking a shower because I'm going to be around people and don't want to smell.
I could use a shower too, but for different
And
reasons.
this guy's just staring at me from the hallway because he wants dinner.
Dinar.
What up, Z?
Because he's heard you talking about all these birthday rewards.
That's right. All right, y'all. We're going to try to fit a midweek mailbag in before the draft. That's probably going to be the last live stream before we go live, before the draft actually happens. Yeah, that's all I got.
All right.
Anything else that people need to know?
Tiki Tuesday?
TK Tuesday,
I'm
twitch.tv/no
thinking
decaf.
I'm wondering if I have the energy for this coming week, just given there's going to be the draft. But every Tuesday we try to be live. So I know we've been dipping quite a bit because I've not really been consistent, considering it's either work or busy or sick. But yeah.
All right, guys, have a great Jeremy's birthday weekend, everybody. And go Pistons.
birthday.